All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. We are at the top 4 of the tournament. Let's go ahead and take a look at who's made it this far. So, first match of the day is going to be A-Move Hacker facing off against the Wild Platypus. Quite a cool name. And then we have Hannidins against the Houseplant on the bottom side of the bracket. So one of the things that probably excites me the most about this tournament in general is that we have so many new faces coming in and doing so well in the tournaments against people who were longtime veterans of Total War Warhammer 2. So really, really cool to see so many new players playing and getting to the top 8 and getting here to the grand finals. I believe a couple of these players, Hannidins and Houseplant, of course, were veterans of Warhammer 2, as was A-Move Hacker. But Wild Platypus, unless it's, I don't know. I don't know if I've seen that name before. So that's really, really exciting. Making it here to the top 4 of a very competitive tournament. I mean, we had faction war champions here. We had ECL contenders and champs, and just this is the top 4. Really excited for this. So it's going to be quite a bit of fun. Yes, welcome, welcome. So Crystal in chat asks, hey, Turin, I was wondering, do you think dwarves... No, I think dwarves will be very good. Yeah, dwarves will be really, really good in domination mode. And also in land battles against the new factions. Like, I think dwarves will be like a hard counter against Nurgle and should be pretty good. All right, so that is the bracket. Now we're going to be loading into the actual battle here in a second. So let's go ahead and fire this beast up. The first match of the day is going to be Kislev facing off against the champions of the Blood God. So here we are as A-Move Hacker and the menacing platypus, going by a slightly different name. I love the picture. It's actually like a platypus here. Went with the, kind of the darker Khorne scheme. I really like how you can change that as well. But the first map is going to be the crossing of the Sea of Claws. Houseplant has been around since round 2. Yeah, Houseplant was, I believe Houseplant's in RTK. And also did very well. I remember seeing Houseplant playing on Anticity's Ladder and doing very well. So if memory serves, this old man might not remember correctly, but I'm trying my best. Arrow and Falcon did not play today, but Hadri's did. Hadri's got pretty far. Did very well, I'm sure. Tourney was fun. Look forward to improving. Appreciate it. Hey, looking forward to seeing you in action. Should be great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, taking a look here at the builds, we can see it is going to be a Patriarch Bear Sled build, which is relatively standard aside from the Patriarch. I think the more meta Kislev build against the champions of the Blood God is basically Bariot spam. So you just go with mass bear chariots. And then you get like Cathay or something for like the slowing and damage effects. Or maybe you get like an Ice Witch or something. But sometimes you see it with, Kostalton as well. And in this case, just going for the cheaper Patriarch and really trying to overemphasize the light war sleds. And basically by getting a hero as your lord, it probably opens up extra funds, which allowed A-Move Hacker to actually come in here with the Warbear Riders, which is quite cool. Now, looking at the demonic forces of Khorne, it is going to be a couple Khorne doggies. So we got some Khorne dogs here on the low ground. Fleshhounds, of course. They're okay against chariots. I mean, obviously the chariots will probably outgrind them because they lack armor piercing, but what's cool about the Khorne dogs is they're large entity models, so the chariots don't get like the bonus versus infantry. And if you can surround the chariots with the Khorne dogs and rampage them and hit them with other targets, you can do quite well for yourself. We got Chaos Furies of Khorne up in the high ground. The low ground army is going to be a Herald of Khorne on his Bulldog mount, and then we do also have 2 Cultists of Khorne. If Kislev did decide to summon an infantry, which they will eventually, having the Bloodletter summon is extremely cost effective. And the rest of the army is going to be shielded Chaos Warriors of Khorne to try and mitigate the effectiveness of the chariots shooting at them, it looks like. Should be quite cool. Yeah, should be good. Let me know if you guys are having any issues with the stream, but the quality looks okay on my end. Pretty good considering we have players considering connecting from all over the world here. Khorne dogs up in the high ground, just kind of moving in, maybe looking to move down to the low ground and get objective number 2 here. A-Move Hacker is going to be keeping the bears over here. So the Warbear Rider is going to be lurking near the Khorne dogs and maybe looking to get a jump there. We'll have to see. But the War Sleds have been very, very meta for Kislev. They're hands down the best unit on the roster. The Light War Sleds are incredible. With high speed at 75, they can outrun a lot of heavy cavalry. And here you can see the menacing platypus is going to be sending in Khorne dogs to try and, target these guys, which I suppose isn't a bad idea. I mean, if Khorne can keep the War Sleds off the objectives and just hold with their infantry, that's certainly a victory condition. Now, I wonder if Khorne's going to be summoning some halberds to go after objective 1. That could be a good idea, because it would keep the Kislevite. Oh, but look at this. Kislev actually... Like, man, A-Move Hacker thinking ahead here. Summoning its Zargard to go after objective 1, because then if Khorne sends any infantry, the dual-wielding Zargard, not dual-wielding, but the Great Weapon Zargard units would be able to absolutely dominate them in combat. So that's definitely like a... Like, he countered the thought I was thinking before I even had the chance to, like, share it with you guys. So I think that was pretty darn cool. But Khorne looks like they're going to have a pretty good stranglehold on objective 2 and 3. And even if the chariots are able to outvalue them over the course of a long game, if the dreaded platypus, of course, can hold on to these 2 objectives and get the point lead, that is another avenue for victory. Streltsy are coming down. Streltsy really good for shooting Khorne off objectives. Granted, all of the Khorne infantry here are indeed shielded with these silver shields, so they should be somewhat durable against the Streltsy of a move hacker here. We'll have to see. How come the shirtless cultists have 75 armor? You know, the Blood God is a generous god and has given them many boons, one of which is including a giant massive shield and some cool shoulder armor and leg armor. So, and they also have like a gut plate, so yeah, I don't know. These guys, the armor's got to come from somewhere. Yeah, got to come from somewhere. So Kislev just kind of circling about, Zargard going to the high ground objective up at number 1. And here we do have the Streltsy making their way down to the middle objective, going to be trying to shoot Khorne off with a little bit of poke and stroke. Will Khorne be able to hold objective 3 against an onslaught of chariots? I wonder how hard a move hacker is going to be committing to this fight here. It seems a little bit dicey. I mean, we have like 2 or 3 Khorne dogs down here, which will be able to fight the chariots for a long time, and also Furies could surround them, and then Khorne could summon in some heavy cavalry. Honestly, I think that was a bit of a mistake there. I would definitely take this fight. Yeah, the Khorne dogs are going to move in, and this is an opportunity to surround and pin in the bear sleds. That could have been a catastrophic mistake here from a move. Granted, some of the dogs are taking heavy damage, but Khorne can summon in a lot of stuff here, and Furies are on their way in. The chariots are going to be getting the benefit of heals and vigor coming in from the Patriarch, but overall, this looks like a pretty good engagement for Khorne here. Definitely a potential throw if these chariots can't get away. We'll have to see. The Khorne dogs are nibbling at them. The HP is dropping rapidly. Khorne has actually equalized the value, and more Furies coming in. The Herald of Khorne himself has come and is going to be giving a big melee attack to the Khorne blob there. And it looks like the chariots are getting owned pretty bad. Now in the center, though, how long can Khorne hold on to this objective? They do have a couple shielded Khorne warriors who are standing up to the might of Kislev. The Streltsy moving in, as well as the Warbear riders looking to maybe get a bit of a fight. I'm not sure what the Streltsy are doing. Looks like they're trying to get on the objective, maybe just to get capture weight. But overall, I would say that was a pretty good engagement for Khorne. Granted, a move hacker still does get away. He is able to escape with a couple chariots, but it looks like one of the chariots is going to be trapped outright by the Herald of Khorne. Ooh, and the cultist actually came in, it looks like, and summoned some bloodletters to trap them in place, giving a little bit of extra mass there. And look at the Furies swarming from all directions here from the platypus. The Bariat convoy is certainly having some problems as the warriors of Khorne do get hammered by the bear cavalry. But Khorne is now moving on Chaos Warriors with halberds here, which I really like. Quite cool indeed. So here comes Chaos Warriors moving up, pushing the Streltsy off the objective. I really like the shielded warriors. Obviously, you would think you would want armor piercing against Kislev because they're super armored, but I think against the Bariat spam meta as well as Streltsy, having these silver shields is just so much value. So Kislev a little bit behind on value. Khorne has equalized quite a bit. Several of the Bariats here have actually gone down. I think overall 2 units of the Bariats were more or less wiped out. This one does have the Unbreakable passive going and is wavering, but it looks like it's going to be able to get away here as the passive has worn off. And now Khorne needs to get all these dogs active and maybe start to swarm over here. I don't think there's any sense in really trying to go for the far objective that the Zargard are holding. I think just trying to push Kislev back here. And the fact that they have a Patriarch, they don't have a legendary lord of any type, or any lord, they just have a hero and a couple beat up bear sleds that are just getting swamped by the Furies here. And I'm really actually quite interested to see this because a lot of Khorne players have been asking me, hey, how do I deal with the Bariat spam? I've really just been getting absolutely plowed by this on ladder, and this is certainly a really good showcase because a move hacker is a top tier player. I mean, clearly both of these players are, but this is a really nice showcase of how to deal with it. Granted, to be completely fair and opaque, a move hacker did make a pretty big mistake in the beginning as it pertains to the engagements. I think sending those Bariats into that like choke point and getting surrounded by the dogs is, you know, so maybe it's not like a truest counter, but nonetheless, it was still a very nice outplay there by Khorne. So Warbear Riders trying to get away, but the Khorne dogs can certainly swarm pretty hard. A couple of Furies here are going down, but Kislev is really trapped up. Here you can see some of the Kossars are fighting the big Khorne warriors, and even though the Kossars do have good armor piercing, these Khorne warriors have insanely good stats and are just objectively quite a bit better in melee. The Zargard will perform on a very different level. Zargard will massacre pretty much any Khornate infantry one-on-one, but they are a little bit more expensive, right? They're like 1100, so Zargard will beat the Khorne warrior halberds, the shielded variant. They'll also beat the dual wielding variant, but they cost a lot more, like 200 or 300 more. But as far as the value goes, currently the menacing platypus is in a pretty commanding position here. Clearly this wild beast of nature is quite menacing indeed, and the Zargard have rotated from the high ground objective. Oh, but look at this. Man, what a great play. The Zargard left the objective, and as soon as that happened, the menacing platypus summons in some Chaos Warhounds and some Blood Crushers of Khorne. That is such a good play. Man, really quick responses here, because now the Blood Crushers of Khorne can come and just flatten these armored Kossars, and this objective is going to be going to the Blood God, while Kislev is really on the back foot right here, trying to get the objective, but really struggling horribly here in the middle against just the wall of armored Khornate infantry backed up by the Khorne dogs, and the Khorne dogs are just screaming up into the high ground. background here. I have to say, I am really, really impressed with this Khorne play. This is like the reactions, the unit composition selections, just everything has been so on point here. So I'm certainly going to be taking some notes as it pertains to my my Khorne play here. Now, Blood Crushers of Khorne on their way over. These are an excellent anti-infantry armor-piercing tool. And they're going to be coming in. That's right, yeah. So the Khorne, the Exalted Bloodletters of Khorne should beat the Zargard in a straight fight, but that's the only one. Aside from that, it seems to be a relatively decent deal. On the other side of the battlefield, we get some Griffin Legion who were able to hunt down Khorne Dogs. A very, very good answer against Khorne Dogs. These guys have great combat stats, but it's getting to that point where Kislev is going to have to really, really start getting some objectives. So probably Kislev needs to... I mean, I don't think they have enough time to push back this Khorne army, even though it's certainly possible over the course of a long battle. But just look at all the Khorne armor here. My goodness. Dude, if there was a Heart of Winter coming in, that would just be so brutal. That would be so brutal if we got a huge Heart of Winter. That would just destroy this whole Khorne army. But again, he didn't bring any magic this time. So there's no Heart of Winter, there's no Tempest spells, nothing to really punish this Khorne blob. Is they're just kind of cackling and punishing the Zargard. Obviously, the Herald of Khorne is quite nice. He gives an AoE buff of melee attack and leadership to Khorne units, and he also has the Hellblade ability. So as he gets more kills, he gets a little bit stronger as well. But the infantry of Kislev are going to be moving over here and trying to get onto the objective, shooting at some of the Chaos Warhounds on the objective, but the big boys are coming, the Blood Crushers of Khorne turning the bend. These Kislevites better beware. The Hounds of Hell are upon us. Sons of Kislev will hold valiantly against the dogs. Of course, that's going to be an easy fight for them, but when the big dogs come in, the Bulldogs of Khorne, as I like to call them, that's going to be a disaster for these infantry, as many skulls will be claimed for the Skull Throne here. Beautiful, beautiful charge. Now, looking around, it looks like objective number 3 is being contested by a move hacker. He has moved over here with his Griffin Legion, which cavalry have okay capture weight, but Blood Crushers of Khorne coming in again. Blood Crushers will actually be able to defeat the Griffin Legion very decisively in combat. Blood Crushers have a ton of armor. Warbear Riders will defeat Blood Crushers head to head, but the Griffin Legion are meant to be dealing with like a lot of infantry and targets like that, but not so much like enemy heavy cavalry. So quite excited to see how that goes. It looks like right now Khorne is in a position where they're getting to that point where they can kind of just hold one objective and win. Even if Kislev is able to get some good mobile engagements, which honestly, these elite Khornate cavalry with the Horn of Khorne active doing very, very good. The Patriarch and the Chariots coming over and are wearing them down with a little bit of infantry support, but that clock is ticking. And here in the middle, Khorne looks like they're going to be liberating objective number 3. The Blood Crushers on their way in, while some tattered remnants of the Khorne Dogs do charge them and probably get lanced into oblivion. But the Khorne armor, the armored Khorne division, sitting here in the middle, just being absolute champions of the Blood God, while the cultists just kind of, you know, hanging out, walking in the freezing cold with no shirt on. I'm sure Khorne provides warmth, which is fine. And yeah, Kislev is great shooting, right? And the Khorne warriors are getting pounded, and right now, A-Move Hacker is equalizing value because he's able to just kind of sit and shoot, and Khorne isn't fighting back. But again, the objectives are a big variable, so he could just sit here and kind of cackle in the night. Meanwhile, up on the high ground, Khorne is playing the objectives a little bit more aggressively, whereas A-Move is value trading. But you can see here, A-Move is rapidly running out of time. It would have to be like a triple cap in the next, like, I'm talking like 30 to 45 seconds, I think, for Kislev to have any chance. But a valiant last effort here by A-Move, moving into the Griffin Legion. But the Griffin Legion is being harried and hunted by the Hounds of the Blood God. The Blood Crushers are right after them. And the Griffin Legion, lacking the armor piercing to fight these guys, is going to be pulling back while some of the light war sleds do move in to intercept. But the Khorne Halberds stand at the ready. Looks like Kislev will be capturing the high ground objective. They did wrestle objective number 1. Now, do they have anything for 2? It doesn't look like it. And first blood goes to the Crimson Skull. It goes to the Blood God, and the Platypus, the menacing Platypus. It is not just simply a platypus. It is a menacing one. Beautiful play. Beautiful play. That was a really, really good showcase of Khorne. Herald was great. Like, the reactions were really good. Summoning in the heavy cavalry to kind of push Kislev off the side objectives I thought was very strong. Solid stuff. And this is a good Kislev build. This is like really nasty for sure. And Zarina, it looks like, was in reserves. I definitely like starting with a caster of some sort. Like, even the slows are really nice for, like, slowing down the Khorne Dogs and getting away. And having, like, a Heart of Winter, I feel, can be pretty decent, like, as a back pocket trick. GG, well played. So that is game 1. Going to be going to the Platypus here in the first match. And now we are on map number 2, which is going to be the Death Pass. So we'll see what the players pick. GG, well played. GG, well played indeed. I can't bear to watch anymore. Yeah. That was a really, really nice battle. Like, the Platypus was menacing, and it made sure to just jump right on top of that misplay. When those bear chariots like went in and got surrounded, I think that's when A-Move Hacker really fell behind and lost his battlefield presence. Yeah. All right. So now they do their picks and bans here. All right. So we'll see what they're doing for the next match. They can go ahead and do their picks and bans in yield chat. So how it's going to work is we have pick one, ban one, pick one, ban one, and game 3 is a blind pick with none of the remaining factions. Because after you play 2 games, basically, you know, some of the factions that, you know, you would normally ban will have already been played, so it's a little bit easier to do a blind pick in that situation. So that's how we're currently doing it. This tournament is very much a testing ground for the parameters and rules, but I think it's giving us some good information. The Zargard weren't bad for sure. I mean, they like losing the Bear Chariot squad was really, really the big turning factor. So Eldrin, thank you for the $5. And Eldrin says, you could pair the Exalted Demonettes and Fiends of Slaanesh for great debuffs to enemy melee attack and melee defense. Could you try that sometime? Absolutely. Slaanesh is one of my worst factions, but I'll certainly try that for you. It's pick one, ban one, because there's only 7 factions, so banning 2 would be a little bit egregious, and you can't repeat ban, so it's pick one, ban one. But like now that they've done this, for example, they've played the first game, like they don't have to worry about Khorne and Kislev for, you know, their respective opponents. Yeah. All right, so let's see what they're going to be doing next. So that is game 1. I'm sure they're aware it's best of 3. So let me go ahead and tell them real quick. Platypus. There is literally like 5 people with platypus in their name in my Discord. Oh man. I'm just making sure they know it's best of 3, because the entire tournament up to the top 4 was best of 1, because domination takes quite a bit longer. Okay, so now it's Platypus on the pick and ban. So Platypus is going to ban Ogre Kingdoms, and picking Grand Cathay. Oh, baby, we're getting a Cathay pick. Sign me up for that. Oh, yeah, Pendulum is banned in today's tournament, which I think has been good. Like, Pendulum is a really toxic ability, and it's super unfun to play against. It's like, look, I have a unit. Oh, no, I don't. It's gone because my opponent clicked one button, and there's no counterplay to Pendulum. You can't even dodge it. It's too fast. Like, so, yeah, I think that's good. All right. Very good. So we have Grand Cathay being picked by the Wild Platypus, which means that a move hacker cannot pick Kislev and cannot pick Ogres based on the banning parameters. Now, that leaves you with 5 other factions to face off against Grand Cathay. In my experience in tournaments, Khorne has been a very good counter against Grand Cathay, but perhaps there's some sort of a scheme or some sort of a build we're not aware of, which would be very interesting. Why ban Ogres as Grand Cathay? Well, Cathay can fight them, but I still think it's a decent ban. Ogres are very strong. Hey, Micro, thank you for the 50. Just throwing a bit of money to support all these tournaments you've hosted over the years. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. And dude, I'm so happy to be hosting tournaments again. It's my favorite thing to do. And when we didn't have lobbies going, it was just such a bummer. It was such a bummer. Yeah. And yeah. Grand Cathay versus Slaanesh. Ooh. It's going to be a fun matchup. I'm super excited for this one. I haven't seen too much Slaanesh today, but we'll see what they can do. Cathay had a little bit of representation in the beginning. A couple players, I would say they had like a 50-50 in the first round in terms of win to loss, which is good. But you cannot repeat bans. So for example, if this does go to game 3, A-Move Hacker is going to be able to pick the Ogre Kingdoms. Because you cannot like just ban out a faction for an entire series, but you can ban it per match. Yeah, and there are some limitations. So Penumbral Pendulum is banned for today's tournament. Also, we do have Ogre Kingdoms have some limits. They can have 1 Iron Blaster only, and they can only have 2 Gorgers. They can't have 4. So there are a couple small things here, which hopefully Creative Assembly will address on their own, just by making the units balanced and just not like absurdly broken. But yeah, that's the thing. You can't even dodge Pendulum. It's like you can't. If you have an infantry unit fighting, like, and plus what happens is each just uses Gaze of Fate on you and locks you in place. And like any infantry, you just can't bring infantry. Like, and the fact that one ability just makes it so you can't bring like 80% of your roster for some factions is so dumb. Yeah. What would be the best ban for Cathay? So if I were picking Cathay, I would probably wait till my opponent played Khorne. I would ban Khorne myself, because I feel like Cathay can do better against Tzeentch with some of the cannons and shooting, especially now, at least in this tournament format, with Pendulum being banned, it's not as bad. You can actually use your infantry. Yeah, I don't know. I would probably ban Khorne myself. Like, I think Kislev versus Cathay is even. I don't know about the Slaanesh Cathay matchup, though. I haven't played this one much myself. I'm curious to see what the Menacing Platypus is going to do. I would imagine maybe Terracottas with like some elite spears like underneath them would be my guess. Yeah. Absolutely. New question. Legions of Chaos. Yeah, so Legions of Chaos, John, isn't allowed in tournaments, although, because they have access to every single demon roster, making them extremely overpowered. Now, What I'm thinking, though, for the Demons of Chaos, I'm going to be doing playtesting over the course of the entire week. And I think that Demons of Chaos maybe will be allowed in tournaments at some point if we can find some sort of a middle ground. Like, maybe they can bring 2 gods. They can bring Khorne and they can bring Tzeentch. Or they can bring Nurgle and they can bring Slaanesh, whatever. So I'm going to get a couple players together this week, and we're just going to like hit it hard and do a little bit of testing and see if that is something that could be a reasonable solution to allow Demons of Chaos to be played in tournaments. Or maybe just mono god, but as mono god, they're just weaker because they don't have like they don't have access to the mortal units for those respective gods, like Forsaken and things like that, and Doom Knights. So I think like the only feasible way to make Demons of Chaos would maybe be to find combinations of demons that aren't overpowered. So maybe like you can only do Nurgle like with someone, like maybe only Nurgle with Tzeentch, or like Khorne with Slaanesh or something. We have to find a way to make it fair and do some playtesting. Yeah, so we'll get to the bottom of it. No, I disagree, General Chaos. If you've like played I don't know how many games I played hundreds and hundreds of games, and pretty much like any game with like Tzeentch and Pendulum, or you know, it's just like it does have a little bit of an effect on Slaanesh, but the thing about Pendulum is it's such a toxic experience to play against, and secondly, it's just not fair. It's like you literally, with Tzeentch, get so much Winds of Magic because you can abuse Power Stones and their Winds of Magic items to get a ton of reserve. And you just like your opponent can only bring certain types of units or else they're going to lose the game. Like, that's just not fun. Tzeentch is still super good without Pendulum. They're super good. Lore of Tzeentch is great. They still have AoE spells. They can totally work without it. Now, Slaanesh does suffer a little bit from it. But if Slaanesh is not able to compete against a faction just because of one spell, which isn't even in their primary Lore of Magic, then that's a problem with Slaanesh's design. It's not like... I think Pendulum is super toxic, and I hope Creative Assembly fixes it, because I've had so many players like, you know, every time we have a stream or quick battles and they're just seeing Pendulum spam, it's like, wow, this isn't even fun to watch. This is boring to play. It's not fun to play against. It's just like, I really was like torn about banning it, but in the end, I think it's made for a much better experience. Yeah. Because Pendulum is legitimately actually broken. There's a bug with it. Its hitbox is way bigger than it's supposed to be. So Creative Assembly has acknowledged that it is broken. So like we're basically letting in a broken spell that legit is just like not working as intended, and it's just freakishly strong, and it really messes up balance. Like against it, you can't bring any infantry. If you do, they're just fresh fish. You can bring cheap infantry, I guess, but then you can't bring your good stuff. Like Cathay against Tzeentch, you can't bring good halberds, you can't bring Celestial Dragon Guard. With Kislev, you can't bring Zargard, you can't bring, you know, Kossars. They just get one-shotted. So trust me, man. It's not fair. Hey, Rickard. Really happy the tournaments are back. Thank you, dude. You rock. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It is time. We have the menacing platypus, the champion of Grand Cathay, facing off against A-Move Hacker, the champion of the Dark Prince. Quite excited for this. So, for the forces of Cathay, we do have a Grand Cannon in the back, backed up by Jade Warrior Halberds and some Peasant Spears, teamed up here with the Terracotta Sentinel. Now, the Lord choice is going to be a Dragon-Blooded Lord of Yang with the Breath Attack, as well as, not even sure what that other spell is. Is that the one that gives Mass? Yeah, look at that, the Stone Ground Stance, Leadership and Mass. Oh my god, what is this going to be used on? The Terracotta Sentinel? If this is like some big brain play, that the Stone Ground Stance is going to be used on the Terracotta Sentinel to like double its mass and make it like impossible to like lock up, I'm going to be so psyched on that. That's going to be super cool. So, looking over here, we can see the dreaded forces of A-Move Hacker. Hellstriders of Slaanesh, nice little anti-large cavalry here. Double Cultists of Slaanesh as well. And the Cultists, of course, can drop some nice little summons. The Demonettes of Slaanesh dropped on top of Halberds can do well, and on top of the missile pieces. And it is going to be a Herald of Shadow, just with no Pendulum, because, you know, there are other options, guys. Like, Pit of Shades is actually a really good spell. It's just not as broken as, you know, Pendulum, but if it's cast on top of a bunch of infantry, it has 100% armor piercing, and it will annihilate them. Also, Melkoth is really good. Enfeebling Foe is a decent spell. There's plenty of other good stuff like that. Now, on the other side of the battlefield, we do have some Hellstriders of Slaanesh. The Hellstriders of Slaanesh here do have anti-large, like I said, and against Cathay, they can deal with Peasant Horsemen, all that sort of good stuff. And also, it looks like there's going to be some Chaos Furies. The Furies of Slaanesh are quite good against Cathay. They have amazing armor piercing, and they're infantry sized. So against all the Spears and Halberds, they're actually a really, really good hard counter here. So that is it. Let's get this party started. and have some fun. And yes, if you guys are looking, I put up a video today. If you guys are struggling against ogres as Cathay, I put up a video on how to deal with that, at least in my experience. Yeah, this is a good map. You know, Slaanesh is going to be waiting ambushes, and it looks like here there's going to be a Terracotta Sentinel sent over here. What could Slaanesh do against a Terracotta? I mean, they didn't really bring like any big demons or anything like that. Like a Keeper of Secrets would trade super well here. Like Inkari with Wit Stealer Sword would annihilate a Terracotta Sentinel. But Slaanesh is basically just waiting and waiting for traps. Cannons coming down here on the old Seekers. Seekers of Slaanesh getting popped right in the old face. Losing 6 models. That's a 1,000 gold unit, so pretty good value here for Grand Cathay. But, you know, Slaanesh is very quick. The cannons are going to be tough. Now, the big mistake I do not want to see A-Move Hacker make is trying to Alpha Strike this position. I think that if A-Move Hacker tries to disrupt this position, they're going to lose the game 100%. Because Cathay is entrenched, they have halberds, and they have immediate reinforcements. I think Slaanesh needs to play the objectives, get 3, get 2, and, you know, Alpha Strike 1 over here. Go for a big flank engagement and try and take that, or just do 2 and 1. Like, you don't always have to Alpha Strike with Slaanesh. So many people get so excited to just, like, blitz that they kind of, you know, forget that they can play the objectives as well here with Slaanesh. And here it is. The Mighty Flyers coming in. Chaos Furies, really good play jumping on the Grand Cannon, and it looks like a little bit of a late response from the Platypus, as Demonettes of Slaanesh are coming in. And honestly, this is a little bit of a misplay from Cathay, which might make an Alpha Strike viable, is the fact that some of these Spear units are like up and unsupported a little bit. And the Furies actually shut down that cannon. Super secret agent moving in. And halberds will move in, but that's what's good about Furies, right? Is their infantry size. So halberds will not kill them quickly. Now, a couple of the Peasant Spearmen. Man, they're holding on like champs. Look at that. Peasant Spearmen really just going full beast mode here. We do get some summons of Demonettes, which I don't know why they're not fighting. Oh, but one Hellstrider of Slaanesh just gets the good old Cathay sandwich. All of the Peasant Spears just kind of shanking them down, and the Peasant Horsemen coming in the back to help as well. So immediately a pretty good value train here for the forces of Cathay, but really needs to get that objective number 3 there on the other side as more and more Peasant Spears are coming out. And obviously, one thing that is really good against this type of a Cathay build would probably be Marauders with Hell Scourges. They're super good at holding objectives, and that's something that we saw from Randomnix yesterday on stream, is how good the Marauder builds can be. Nonetheless, we do have a bunch of infantry. Seekers of Slaanesh can easily dominate these Peasant Horsemen. Looks like they're going to be screaming in there, but got to watch out for these old spears here. And it looks like they are committing even more. More Furies up in the sky. The Grand Cannon has been taken offline, and Pit of Shades is going to be going down as well. So here it comes. That's going to be a pretty decent cast. So you guys can see Pit of Shades. This is another spell from Lord of Shadows, in case you guys didn't know anything other than Pendulum existed, but doing really good damage, actually. Breaking these Jade Warrior Halberds, taking down, like, you know, almost 60% of their HP. And arguably, that is actually a little bit better than, like, a Pendulum would have been in that same situation, as it breaks that entire Cathay formation. So up in the front, we do have more and more Demonettes pushing back, one objective being held by the forces of Slaanesh, as they do pull a little bit ahead on value. I would love to see one unit go over here. Very good play by A-Move. Okay, A-Move Hacker is sending a spear over there to hold that objective, and the Spearmen should be able to kind of hold those guys back. Now, Grand Cathay is, they do have layers and layers to their dreaded onion. In the back here, we do have some Peasant Archers shooting in. Peasant Archers very, very cost effective, and Halberd's trying to move up. Also, remember that there are 2 cultists out on the battlefield here for the forces of Slaanesh. So there is a little bit of a false inflation as it pertains to their actual value on the battlefield. When they actually disappear, it's going to be changing things. Now, the Grand Cannons of Cathay appear to be coming back online. One of them was destroyed, and a nice Yang breath spell there, but those are only summoned Demonettes, so really not going to do too much. And the Furies, as well as some Seekers of Slaanesh on the flank, really causing a lot of problems. I don't think there's any spears nearby. Yeah, it's just Peasant Archers. And look at the Slaaneshi cavalry. These Seekers hit so hard, and they're able to just chew through these peasants like absolute butter. And now that the Furies are here to lend some extra DPS, certainly going to be causing some problems. Now, Objective 3 is about to be taken by the forces of the Dark Prince as the Marauders move over there into that far side objective. And here comes the Seekers as well. So jumping on the Peasant Archers as the Herald of Slaanesh continues to roll through. I do like the Chariot choice. I think that's pretty cool because, you know, Chariots are decent against Cathay because their cavalry aren't like devastating, nor do they have any mass that can really like block Chariots like super hardcore. Like they have the Terracotta obviously, but you know, it's not a super easy task. Now the back Seekers of Slaanesh using their 100 speed to outmaneuver the poor Peasant Spears, which can't be everywhere at once, and these ones are actually shattered as well. So the cannon's going to be going offline, although the middle objective is actually being taken by Grand Cathay. And even though Cathay is kind of losing their backfield a little bit, it looks like they do have a second win on top of the objective. But the Platypus has got to be very, very careful right here. Absolutely. Because what's probably going to happen is that the Shadowcaster is going to come back, the Herald of Shadows, and there's going to be a massive erect Pit of Shades right here, which is basically just going to banish the forces of Cathay from existence. We're going to see, though. I don't know. Maybe not. Okay, there it is. Dude, the Platypus, look at that adjustment right there. Cavalry swarming in, Pit of Shades. Oh, the Pit of Shades coming in. Sucking all of these poor Jade Warriors into the realm of Slaanesh. Certainly not going to be fun for them. Cavalry getting a nice cycle charge, but the Terracotta Sentinel doing all the anime moves, pushing them back. But that is some thick damage on those Peasant Spearmen as well as those Halberds. And once again, beautiful cycle charging here from A-Move Hacker. Going to be screaming in there on top of the Peasants as well as the Halberds. What a nice execution of using that spell. And obviously that army was very blobbed up. It was a very, very good opportunity. And how is Cathay going to respond? Right now, the Dark Prince is certainly doing quite well in terms of value. The Cathay formation held well in the beginning, and they certainly were doing a little bit better in terms of the early value trades, but Slaanesh was able to kind of find the crevices, you know, the cracks and all the holes in the armor and eventually get their way in there, which I'm sure Slaanesh is quite good at. So, Terracotta Sentinel, though, being an absolute champ, holding the middle, getting a nice attack on the Herald of Slaanesh, and now we get some Fiends of Slaanesh. These things pack some serious armor piercing and also do debuffs. Oh, it did the Exorcist! It did the Exorcist again. It did the 360 head spin. I love it. But, you know, Cathay still has a decent chance of holding the two objectives. Right now, A-Move Hacker does not have the middle. The middle is being held by Grand Cathay, and there are some Jade Warrior Halberds on here, but look at the Fiends of Slaanesh actually getting some really nice value here against the big Terracotta Sentinel, wearing that bad boy down. Now, Long Marauders have finally arrived. Long Marauders are basically Cathay's hardest counter against the Chaos Furies, and, you know, honestly, Cathay is still very much in this game. The value is only 1,000, guys. It's a really, really close match. And Cathay does have really good staying power on the middle. Slaanesh might have troubles wrestling the middle from a Terracotta Sentinel. What I would probably recommend if I were A-Move is get a big mobile force, get some Seekers, get some heavy hitting cavalry, and go take objective number 1. Cathay is mega entrenched here in the middle, but if you come over here, like this is kind of some free real estate. There's really nothing of value defending this, and I think you could get over there and really cause some big problems. So Cathay doing quite well. Pit of Shades, of course, will be on the menu relatively soon. It looks like there's going to be another one right here, but this one I think will be partially dodged, but these Pit of Shades have been so devastating this game. And here it comes. The Jade Warriors are getting wrecked pretty good by it, but that wasn't like quite a direct hit, but it still does some really big damage, and certainly accrues good value for the forces of A-Move. But again, that back objective is where Slaanesh needs to go. Slaanesh is not good at contesting really entrenched positions. What they're really good at is taking advantage of your weak points, right? And you can see that's being done as we do get, Exalted Demonettes of Slaanesh. They are going to just be basically like a lawnmower going through a grass field here against the Peasant Spearmen. That's going to be tough. We also get Furies coming on over, and if the caster can get there as well, we do have a Cultist of Slaanesh a little bit trapped up in the middle, and it looks like the Herald and the other Cultists getting decent value where they can. Long Marauders coming here, but they're going to lose to these Marauder Spears on the far side, so I don't think that's going to be good. And now Slaanesh probably going to be able to get this objective. If they keep pouring in their 100 speed units here, I don't know if Cathay is going to be able to respond in time. Cathay is a very, very slow faction, and you kind of have to plan ahead for them. I mean, they do have some speed, but their infantry are quite slow. So Cathay needed to have some halberds here, some extra units like to plan ahead a little bit, because this is going to be an absolute massacre here in the corner. When these demonettes like move in to attack these peasants, oh my goodness. And the Chaos Furies here, pushing back the peasant archers, which were supporting the position. Here on the far side, Narcissism used, very, very cool, snaring these peasant horsemen in place. And then the Demonettes of Slaanesh are going to be pouring in, and oh my god, this is going to be a massacre. These peasants are going to get cut to pieces by these champions of the Dark Prince. And the brave Peasant Spearmen, I mean, certainly a little bit of a mismatch, but the Peasant Spearmen are going to be trying their best to hold as the Furies do attack them from the back. So Slaanesh hitting it from the back and the front here as the, the infantry move in. And these poor peasants not going to be holding for too long, probably going to break in a matter of seconds. I mean, they are so heavily outmanned here. And I don't know what the response is going to be from Grand Cathay. Grand Cathay needs to either go for like a back cap here, or they need to get some reinforcements and resecure this. But Cathay has a little bit of a cushion. They are quite ahead on points right now. It's 3,000 to 2,000. But if Slaanesh is able to hold the other two objectives for the rest of the game, that should be enough points to win the match. So something to take into account. Really good play here from the Marauder Spears, though. Look at these champs. I mean, they're basically fighting things they're good against. Oh my god, the Pit of Shades! It's so good. Here it comes. Oh god, he's been so good with this spell, and I love that Pendulum is not being used because we're actually getting to see other tactics and other strategies here other than just cheesy pendulums that one-shot everything. Like this, you can dodge Pit of Shades. You can see it coming, you have a lot of time to react, whereas Pendulum, it's like almost an instant. You just like get pounded by it. But it looks like Grand Cathay is not going to be able to get this back objective, though there are some Jade Warriors coming in, which do have pretty good capture weight, but these are no mere cavalry of Slaanesh. These are the Heartseekers of Slaanesh. These things pack so much armor-piercing punch, they'll probably make very, very quick work here of the Jade Warriors. But again, there are Long Marauders as well as the Lord, and uh-oh, Slaanesh Lord better be careful. Herald of Slaanesh was left alone. Uh-oh, better get that thing out of here. It looks like the Herald just barely got away. It wasn't a proper surround, and Narcissism was actually used there to snare those units. And here comes the Heartseekers. They're going to be jumping on top of them. Enfeebling Foe active as well, and the Long Marauders are going to get lawnmowered as well. Oh man, that's going to be brutal. Now back on the other objective, it looks like the Exalted Demonettes were able to push back the forces of Cathay, and now they're making their way over to the middle. Honestly, I would just leave those Exalted Demonettes on the back objective. I think leaving is a mistake, and A-Move Hacker does as well. The value is dead even right now. This is a really, really tight game right now. Really, really tight game for sure. So the Exalted Demonette's going to pull back. That's going to take a lot of effort from Grand Cathay. Maybe some Peasant Archers and Longbows to deal with them. Otherwise, it's going to be tough. And look at this. Cathay trying to jack this objective, getting very, very close. Slaanesh better get on there. Fascination used, which will do damage and rampage them. And now the Slaaneshi cavalry are going to be zerging in against the Cathay infantry. Certainly a very contested fight. And is that a Hysterical Frenzy? No, Locus of Grace. So that's the melee defense and physical resist buff that the Herald gives. So Jade Warriors are broken off. Man, they almost got that objective. If they had gotten that objective, that would have been very, very tough for sure. And I think that it's time for Cathay to actually grab their Sentinel and send it to another objective. I think sitting the Sentinel here is certainly good, but I would probably send the Sentinel over to battle the Exalted Demonettes with my Lord and a couple other units because it's too valuable of a unit to be sitting here. Granted, I know he's probably worried about the counterstrike here in the middle, but I think you could reinforce that with some Jade Warriors or something and buy some time. Jade Warrior Halberds moving to the back objective. I do like that these guys are moving there. Still a little bit of a cushion, but at this rate, the forces of Slaanesh will catch up in terms of points. And here are the Exalted Demonettes going to get rode down by a bunch of Peasant Horsemen. Ooh, the Dragon Breath, very nice. Roasting a lot of them. That was very thematic looking. As the Cathay cavalry charge in, the Dragon Emperor lends his aid. Sweet Sorrow is now active. That's going to give the entire Slaanesh army. Dude, 68 speed on these Demonettes. These Demonettes are faster than Empire Knights right now. Oh my goodness, just bouncing back and forth and really, really holding down that objective like absolute champions. Now, the forces of Cathay do summon in a couple Peasant Archers, which are 100% a hard counter against Demonettes. Like, they'll die super quickly to that, but time is ticking, and you better hurry up because the Dark Prince is really, really, catching up on points. Now, we have Crane Gunners in the back. Crane Gunners shooting into the Heartseekers. The shields have been broken, the non-existent shields. And on the back objective, oh my god. Oh, Slaanesh left everything. They didn't leave anything to protect this. Oh my goodness. And if Cathay gets objective 3 here with these secret agent halberds in the back, that is going to be the biggest MLG play of all time. Definitely need to summon in some Peasant Horsemen to support them too, because as soon as Slaanesh sees this, there's going to be an unholy onslaught over here. But oh my god. The one halberd send, if A-Move Hacker had left like a Demonette or anything back here, the Jade Warriors would get massacred. But in this case, those Jade Warriors are probably going to get it. And meanwhile, the Sentinel is holding the middle objective. Okay, so without working out, and now all of these archers on a little bit of a precarious situation, but A-Move Hacker is still behind on points, and objective 3 is going to be taken. Oh my goodness. This is so stressful. This is so stressful. Oh, A-Move Hacker. Is Grand Cathay going to pull off the upset? Because man, oh man, Slaanesh has really, really been getting the upper hand on the objectives right now. So big fight going down here. Obviously, this is great for Slaanesh, but I don't know if A-Move Hacker is paying attention to the back here. I don't think he is. And look at this. Yeah, we get some Hellstriders, but what are they going to do? They're anti-large cavalry that have no tools to deal with armored halberd units. You need Demonettes here, like ASAP. ASAP. Dude, that is so cunning. The Platypus sending in the Jade Warrior halberds on the flank is just such an MLG play. And now we got Peasant Long Spearmen coming in as well. Oh man, that's got to feel bad for A-Move. And that is 100% like user error. That's just like... He didn't pay attention to those units moving through the forest. Like, he saw them probably come out and just kind of forgot about them. But now, I think those halberds are going to be holding on like champs. The peasants are standing firm, while the big, mighty Terracotta Sentinel just kind of chills in the middle, doing the Exorcist 360 headspin. But now, look at the score! Dude, it's like a 100-point game, and the halberds of Grand Cathay are holding. They're going to have to be removed super quickly. I don't think there's enough time. I think Grand Cathay is going to be getting this one. Furies are a really good choice here because they have good armor piercing. But with that, Grand Cathay is going to be claiming victory in the 4th quarter with the dreaded halberd backdoor. Oh my god, what a good match. What a good match. The Pit of Shades were so good that game. They were so good. And with that, the menacing Platypus is going to be advancing on to the grand finals with a Cathay victory in a competitive format for sure. And those, dude, like, look at the value here on the Pit of Shades. 32,000, like 3,200. So good on that Herald of Slaanesh. A-Move Hacker, I think, had that game in the bag, but just failed to leave. If he had left a Marauder back there, like a single Marauder Spear had gone and sat on that objective, A-Move Hacker wins that game. 100%. Just one small misplay, but very well played A-Move. He played a great game. That was a really fun showcase of Slaanesh and Cathay. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be updating the scoreboard here in a second. So the Platypus will win that series 2-0. Even though that was much more contested than a 2-0, it looks like. That was a really, really good match. So, Platypus, GG, well played. So, let me go ahead and tag them. So, Platypus, The Wild Platypus. Wait for grand finals. And then, now we have Houseplant in the next match here. So let's go ahead and get this copy. So just setting up the next game here. Very cool. We'll get the scoreboard all updated. We'll see who joins first. And yeah, get this party started. Dude, what a great game. That was a really, really good match. The cavalry were winning that fight against the halberds because Fascination was used, the army ability from Slaanesh, and Furies were also helping. Furies are really good. That was a really good GG. That was a really good, super solid match. One Skyjunk? Yeah, the Skyjunks actually aren't bad against Slaanesh. They aren't. So the first map here is going to be the Mountains of Khorne. So RTK Houseplant versus ODM Hannidins. So it is a clan duel. Picks and bans here. Alrighty. The new lobby system is definitely nice. Being able to send an invite code to the players? Yes. Mountains of Khorne is the first map. Very, very good. So we will update this. It is going to be Houseplant versus Hannidins. A lot of H's being used here. Let's make sure it fits in the nameplate. Hopefully it will. Almost. We just need to move this over a little bit and make Hannidin's name a little bit more prevalent. Of course, I'm still working on the technology stuff. We're doing our best here. So Benedict says, try domination mode with Khorne. In the first game, I got cheesed by Pendulum Spam. I feel you. Yeah, that's why we ban it, because it's just stupid. Like, at least Pit of Shades you can like dodge and there's some counterplay, but Pendulum you just can't. It's just too fast. Pit of Shades has counterplay. Pendulum doesn't. And Pit of Shades is like more fair because it's a concentrated area. So it's punishing a misplay. Like if you blob, you're going to get punished by Pendulum or by Pit of Shades. But if you don't blob, then it's not as bad. Ever consider doing a mixed format tournament like best of 3? Yeah, I actually have. And I will be doing that at some point, but I don't know when. Already bans with 7 factions? Yeah, only a single ban though. Yeah, and most of the tournament is just like blind pick, like, yeah. So the first pick is going to be Hannidins picking Kislev and banning Tzeentch. That is the game plan. Okay. Very good. And thank you all for joining. It's been a fun event so far. Now we're on to the next best of 3. We'll be showing you the brackets here in just a second. Just got to get those updated with the power of technology. So it is going to be the Wild Platypus advancing on to the grand finals with a masterful showcase of the Fury of Grand Cathay. Dude, that halberd, like, secret agent play in the 4th quarter was just a thing of magic. So the Wild Platypus has advanced and will be facing the winner of Hannidins and Houseplant here. Need to kind of adjust this name a little bit. Look at that. We're doing it. 1 Sky Lantern guarded by 1 Longma Rider. Yeah, you know, honestly, Eldrin, I like the Skyjunk against Slaanesh because Longma Riders can defend it pretty well. And especially if you have like a Dragon Lord. But I mean, the basic Lord is also very good because you get a really cheap Lord who could just spam that fire spell over and over, which against Slaanesh is really, really good. Today's tournament is closed for entry, of course. But if you guys want to sign up for future tournaments, you just need to be in my Discord and stand by for notifications. That's it. Shidoku, no Demons of Chaos today, but I am in the process of doing some testing to see how we can balance Demons of Chaos and have some special rules for them to be playable in tournaments. So what I'm thinking right now is I'm going to experiment with combinations of Chaos Demons where they can bring 2 gods worth of units, because Chaos Demons can't bring mortals. So they can't get like Forsaken, they can't get Doom Knights, Chaos Warriors, they only get demons. So I'm trying to think how OP that could be. And we're going to be doing testing to see. But eventually I do want to add Demons of Chaos into tournaments once we find like a middle ground for them, which is the jam. Which is the jam indeed. I need to see Nurgle player make it to the top. Well, we saw Cathay today. I don't know who plays Nurgle. Oh my god. We have Kislev versus Grand Cathay again. Cathay making a bit of a comeback. Yeah, this is some hype stuff. Grand Cathay. Yes, good. So we have the duel of the good guys here on the Mountains of Khorne. It's going to be Grand Cathay versus Kislev in game 1 of this best of 3 show match. Not show match. Grand finals, top 4. Semifinals between Hannidins and Houseplant. I hope to see mammoth summons. You want to see some mammoths? Yeah. I can't wait for the old world to get added back. You know, I was thinking like somebody mentioned this in my YouTube comments for the video I put up today that what's it called to be really, really good against the Ogre Kingdoms, Norska, because of the Javelins as well as the Skin Wolves having anti-large and regeneration like that. Maybe Norska will finally rise from the ashes of being a meme faction and actually like be really good in domination mode, which is pretty cool. Wait, Turin, didn't any of the usual... no, most... I mean, so Hannidins and Houseplant are people who come from Total War Warhammer 2 as well and were very solid, tournament level players. Same with A-Move Hacker, but A-Move Hacker was defeated by the dreaded Platypus. But I have to say, as far as today's tournament has been going, we've been having a ton of new players making it very far. Like folks who did not play Warhammer 2 competitively are coming in and doing very well, which I'm super excited to see. It's a good sign for the community to see that kind of growth. Is the Ma a good guy or I don't know. I feel like the ogres are kind of like, okay, so the thing is like ogres are considered like a destruction faction. So they're kind of like, yeah, they're kind of evil, but they're also like, there's a gray area with them is that they work as mercenaries and, yeah. Yeah, Norska in domination mode might be good. Who knows? Like Throg, like regenerating, anti-large, like tanky on objectives maybe. Like Wolfric with Sea Fang could be really good. I think there's a lot of potential. Okay, so yeah, interesting. Continuing the discussion about Pendulum. Pendulum in Warhammer 2 was extremely broken for one patch. Like it was like this. It was just horrible. But then Creative Assembly nerfed it like really hard and made Pendulum like a fair spell. And then in Warhammer 3, they unnerfed it basically. And there's also a bug with it. So now it's broken again. Pendulum has been a problem child for a long time. Do you have any land battle tournaments coming up? Yes, I do. I do. I have a land battle tournament coming up this week. It's going to be during the week probably. And then I'm going to be having a faction war on Friday. So if you guys remember the Warhammer 2 faction war, that's going to be restarting this next Friday. And that is going to have land battles. So it's going to be a land battle faction war. And there will also be a champion of the Demons of Chaos who's going to be using Be'lakor, which is going to be super fun. So we have 2 land battle events this week. One is an open tournament, and the other one is going to be a faction war, which is really, really hype. And then on that next weekend, I'm going to be taking probably most of that off. Maybe there will be like a casual stream because it's my wife's kind of birthday weekend. Her birthday's on Monday, but we're going to be doing some fun stuff on the weekend. So yeah, there's a summary of the run of events. I am really, really interested to see what these players do here. I have no idea what to expect. Yeah, so this has been an issue we've been having a little bit where basically like the players just need to reload right now. So all right, let's do this. And they can just load in with the same army. So I'm going to take a snapshot of these builds. Okay. Got that. And cool. So the players, yeah, there's still some weird like desyncing stuff like that with lobbies with certain players. So what the recipe for success is just to make a new lobby and then invite them again. So, and it should be fine. I took a screenshot of their builds to make sure they're the same, so no problem. All right, so let's do this. And we have the new invite code, which is really awesome. All right, so tournament chat. And what's his name? Hannidins and Houseplant. Yeah, this was happening to us in early access. It's a very strange one. It's a very, very strange bug. I'm hoping Dark Elves could be good in domination. They have some good mobility. Like, maybe the Dread Knights will make a comeback. Malice Meanblade, maybe he'll rise from the ashes, who knows. But yeah, Marathi will be super good. She's got like great blob punishment, really good debuffs. Scourge Runners could be really good for like moving around the battlefield. Like Scourge Runners honestly could start performing like Bear Chariots. Like if you think Kislev Bear Chariots will be, dominant against Dark Elves can probably just bring Scourge Runners and kill them, right? Which is really, really good. Yeah. Greenskins will be great too. Like tons of cheap chaff to hold objectives. Black Orcs if you want to get really heavy. Yeah, like great cheap skirmish cavalry that can swarm as well. Can you play Chaos Undivided as long as you commit to one faction? Not today, but I am going to be exploring rules this week for actually doing that. Yeah. And I took screenshots of the builds too to make sure they're the exact same. So pretty cool builds though. Yeah, it was like a Jade Warrior Crossbowman build. I thought that was very cool. All right, cool. So players can load in. Make sure to, so Houseplant and Hannidins, make sure to save your builds in between games, because I know this is an issue with some players. I don't know what the variable is, but it's going to work this time. It's weird when you restart and get in the lobby with them again. It figures it out and then it works. Yeah, I'm looking to make it balanced though. So I'm going to be doing some testing this week. I'm going to try and play like 20, 30, 40 games with Demons of Chaos and see like if we can find a way where they don't feel like broken. Yeah. I think dwarves will be really good at domination mode, because I think they're going to be able to like leave an Ironbreaker on a back objective and then just like push everything else up to the middle. And like wrestling the objective from like the dwarves in the back is going to be super hard. Like an Ironbreaker plus a Slayer holding an objective, have fun with that. Gyrocopters too might be like a bit of a hidden gem. Like for shooting things off objectives and, you know, the bombing runs on blobs, like gyro bombers could be meta. Like who knows? Like it's going to be super crazy. Yeah, and Dawi do have Vanguard as well. And Dawi they feel faster than Cathay. Even though Cathay has cavalry, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I think dwarves will be really good in domination. I think they'll play like Cathay, but better. Because like dwarves can actually fight on objectives really well, and their shooting is amazing. Like Thunders, Quarrelers, Bugman's Rangers, like all that stuff is really good. Yeah, really, really good. All right. Let's make sure they don't have any questions. Make sure to save your builds each game. Yeah, I think they're just redoing their armies here real quick while we get ready. Turin, how do you think Skaven is going to perform? I think they're going to be really good. Yeah. I think Skaven's going to be amazing. I think they'll be top tier. Although Skaven might struggle to like have staying power on an objective is the thing, like because their leadership's really poor. So even though they can swarm objectives and take them quickly, I think they might like get knocked off them very fast too. I think Skaven will be really strong though. Their weapons teams are so good. Like mortars on top of an objective. Oh my god. Like Poison Wind mortars bombarding an objective point. Sign me up for that. So right now, Total Tavern, the website, is under maintenance. The server we had it on was really crappy with Microsoft, and it just kept like they were having server problems perpetually. So we ended up switching Total Tavern over to another backend for the website, as well as another server. So we had to redo everything. I have to redo all the blogs and everything, but the website will be going up like soon. Like this, like by the end of this next week, the website will be back up. It'll be functioning. Everything will be good. So yeah, that's the plan. Wood Elves, I think, will be great too. Like, honestly, all the old world factions feel really good in domination mode. I'm trying to think who wouldn't be. Like, who would suck in domination mode? Like, okay, the one that I can see having some problems is Vampire Coast if they don't add open field maps. Like, Vampire Coast, although Vampire Coast Sirens and Crabs and, like, Gunnery Whites and Crabs, like, they could be really good on objectives too. So, I don't know, man. I feel like everyone kind of has something. And Tomb Kings are, like, great too because they're unbreakable, right? So they can sit on objectives like demons. And, like, the Titan could be strong. Like, Arc in the Black could be super good, like, for the skeleton summons to roadblock. I honestly think that my prediction for domination mode is that the vampire counts are going to be the strongest. Of all the old world, I think so. Because the fact that they can have all these cheap zombie summons to, like, roadblock you off objectives seems so strong. Yeah, I think vampire counts will be one of the strongest. Their mobility is insane too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, game one between RTK Houseplant and ODM Hannidins. Taking a look here at the forces of Houseplant, it is going to be Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon, the absolute Chad of Cathay. I actually like how he's more like reasonably sized. Like he's not just like Karl Franz, who's like twice as tall as like, yeah, look at that, it's so cool. But he's got Final Transmutation of the Breath Attack. The Cathay army is basically going to be masked crossbows and Jade Warriors. Really interesting. So there's going to be harmony across the board, yeah. And this is great to see because I've been kind of wondering about Cathay in general. I've been wanting to see some really kind of unique dynamic strategies with them to kind of make them function. Honestly, I wasn't having issues with performance, Peter, before the patch. So yeah, I can't really speak to that. Can't speak to that. Yeah, Bretonia too. Feign Enchantress on objectives. Oh my god. Now for the forces here of Kislev, it's going to be double Zargard backed up by armored Kossars and a couple basic Kossars. This is really, really interesting. So both these builds are like builds you would never expect. Typically in this matchup, you would think like cannons are going to be king because they can like shoot downtown and they can really do a ton of damage against cavalry. Like, I wonder if he has a cannon in his reserve pool. I feel like he probably does. So the Ice Witch of Ice moving in. I wonder if she's going to be using any spells. The only spell that she does have is Death Frost, which is kind of like a Spirit Leech type effect, and also the Guardian's Call. So Guardian's Call allows her to summon a Snow Leopard, which could help potentially against Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon. But Cathay is going to be moving up. It's so weird, like seeing two human factions like battling. We've been seeing so much of like demons versus humans and ogres versus, you know, this and that. That seeing the two human factions go fisticuffs is like a very, very strange experience in my opinion. Very, very strange. Well, blobbing up here a little bit is Grand Cathay. Not a big deal, though, because there's nothing that Kislev has to punish this. They don't have any like wind spells or anything like that, so the Jade Warriors and company should be fine. Grand Cathay going to be moving over to the side objective as well. And these are not armor-piercing Zargard. They're actually the shielded variant, so they will be more durable against like the shooting of Grand Cathay. Now, we do get some summons for the Houseplant, and yeah, I was wondering, oh baby, sign me up for this. It's the Fire Rain Rocket. Oh, this is so good. This is exactly what I wanted to see. So the Fire Rain Rocket's going to be coming in, dropping some hellish salvos on the Kislevite forces. And basically, you can see Kislev immediately sees this and just hides. They're like, nope, don't want any piece of that. Let's fan out. Let's go to the other objectives, which is going to give Grand Cathay a ton of agency on the objectives, right? They're going to move on. They're going to be cackling all the way to the bank. And the Fire Rain Rocket is going to be unleashing its first volley. So here it comes, and it looks like the Kislevites are going to be hiding very wisely behind the barriers. On the other side, we do get some Streltsy, as well as some armored Kossars, as well as some basic Kossars, I think. Yeah, coming on to objective number 3. So I love the Fire Rain Rocket. This brings me so much joy. Oh, the Fire Rain Rocket is so cool. So Kislev moving through, but taking some pretty heavy crossbow fire. Also, the Iron Dragon is nearby. Iron Dragon, honestly, if I were, I would just jump him right here and start attacking these Zargard, because he's got huge armor piercing, and you know, there's nothing here to really punish him. I guess the Kossars can kind of shoot him, but the Iron Dragon does have 100 armor, so he's going to be an absolute beast against that. Now, the Fire Rain Rocket, what is it going to be shooting? It looks like it'll probably go downtown over here and start shooting at these guys. Objective 3 obviously will be taken by Kislev. Number 2 by Grand Cathay. And here comes the first volleys, and yeah, it's forcing him back. Like, it's forcing him to juke, and it's buying more time for the crossbows. Nice one right there. It does hit into those Zargard, but where is the Iron Dragon? He needs to get busy. He could have already done a ton of damage against these Zargard had he attacked a little bit earlier. Yes, the dreaded cow meta is upon us. So now objective number 1 is being taken by Grand Cathay, it looks like. They do have a little bit more capture weight, as the Zargard are now moving in, but taking those fire rockets certainly hurt quite badly. And is he going to be going into human form? What is the Iron Dragon doing? Okay, there he goes. He's going to be descending down and should be able to get some nice attacks here into the Zargard. Dude, he is so cool looking. Oh my god, I love this character. So badass. But yeah, huge AP. Should be able to help those guys actually maybe even win that fight as we get some crossbows moving in as well. Grand Cathay does capture both objectives, and the crossbows getting very cost-effective fire against Kossars. The crossbows are much better. They have 90 armor, so they're going to be able to endure that archer fire like quite effectively, while the Fire Rain Rocket continues to rain in. Now, Kislev in the meantime is pushing for objective 2. They obviously, oh my god, oh, big misplay. Huge misplay here by Kislev and Hannidins. He did not capture objective number 3 before he left it. Oh, Anakin, I'm so weak. And the Fire Rain Rocket's getting a ton of value shooting into the Kislev blob here. Oh, huge damage. Kossars and the armored ones, as well as the Zargard, really getting hammered pretty hard. And now the other Zargard unit is going to be pushing back after the crossbows, while the Jade Warriors rush to intercept. How would these Jade Warriors do? Probably not super well. Snow Leopard was summoned by the Ice Witch, but so far, if we're looking at the value of Grand Cathay, man oh man, they're doing really good here. But the tide could turn for the motherland as we get some Kossovite dervishes moving in to jump on top of the Fire Rain Rocket. The Peasant Spears immediately moving up to intercept this, but still could be a little bit of a liability. And the Fire Rain Rocket, is it going to be unsummoned? Ooh, the MLG plays. So if you unsummon a full health unit, you actually get a bit of a refund. So I think he figured he couldn't defend it. So he's like, okay, dervishes are coming in, armored Kossars, there's no way I can defend this with my peasants, so let's unsummon it and get a little bit of value back. Now, the Iron Dragon is battling the Snow Leopard, also taking a little bit of shooting here. Kossovite Dervish is moving in, and Kislev has actually gotten objective number 1. So the Zargard doing very well as the breath attack does coming down from the Iron Dragon there. Frostbite and Death Frost doing some very good damage as well, and Iron Dragon does not have any way of healing. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see Iron Dragon go human form here and maybe look to get like a final transmutation or something like that. We'll have to see. But nonetheless, very good play here from Hannidins, getting some great shots here against the Houseplant. And now value is actually equalizing. Now that Kislev has gotten a really nice kind of angle of engagement here, you can see the armored Kossars shooting into the archers and the spears. Over here, they have moved on to the middle objective and probably will be starting to get that from Grand Cathay here in a second. And Hannidins here also moves in with the Kossovite dervishes and does jump on top of objective number 3. So they finally will get that. And the tide of the battle is certainly starting to go in the favor of Kislev. Cathay probably needs some like Iron Hail Gunners or some like solid shooting to get rid of the Zargard, because they don't really have any infantry. Maybe the Celestial Dragon Guard could actually beat the Zargard. I think they could, because they have really good armor piercing, and with a little bit of harmony, they of course could do their job. And there actually is some harmony going on here. These Jade Warriors are getting the bonus, so they are getting the extra melee defense and the leadership, and they're holding pretty well against the Zargard. Is Grand Cathay going to be able to get this back? We got Peasant Spears moving in, going to get massacred by the Zargard, and these are the Great Weapon variant, so oh man, those swords are so cool, but yeah, these poor peasants definitely going to get cut to pieces. And what is Cathay's response going to be? So it looks like a Grand Cannon has been summoned. Grand Cannon always a pretty good choice as well. Looks like it's going to be hammering into some of the Kosovo dervishes, which are intercepting the halberds. Halberds going up to objective 3 to take that for Grand Cathay, I think would be very strong. We also get some Jade Lancers coming out. Jade Lancers should make pretty quick work here of these Kosovo dervishes. And the Iron Dragon moving and looking for opportunities. Cathay is up on points right now, and they're holding pretty well in the middle. They do have some Harmony active on some of their units, so they are getting the bonuses on some part of their army, certainly not all. Iron Dragon looks to be maybe coming over to intercept these Kosovo dervishes, although I don't know if that's the best idea. And the Tsar Guard, of course, making very quick work of the Cathay forces on this side. So, highly contested game. Highly contested game. Value is very close. The forces of Kislev have slightly taken over in terms of value, but as we've seen today, the dreaded halberd flank of Cathay can certainly be very devastating as they're going to be moving over here. I do think Iron Dragon is a mistake in this matchup. I think going for Miao Ying, I mean, he's not the worst, but I think Miao Ying's spell, the Talons of the Night, is very good at killing elite infantry. So bringing that, plus her ability to heal when she's getting shot by Cathay, or excuse me, Kislev is very, very good, but we'll have to see. All right, so here comes the old Jade Warriors with halberds, going to be moving down to the location. Kislev is certainly going to lose this objective. Granted, there are some mighty Streltsy emerging from the bushes here. Streltsy are so damn cool. They're going to be lining up those long shots, taking down those halberds who are moving on over to objective number 3. Those halberds not going to be long for this earth, although they might still have time to capture that objective. Now, does Grand Cathay have any way to get back in this? They're currently being triple capped, which is certainly very painful. And Iron Dragon is kind of chilling here. He's just kind of hanging out in the back. He's like, hey man, you know, I don't got a lot going on. At least the Fire Rain rocket is back, so the artillery for Grand Cathay is here. And maybe they're going to be trying to execute the long-term game plan of just like wearing down the forces of Kislev with their artillery, but I don't know if that's going to work. Kislev is one of the best holding factions in the game. The fact that they become unbreakable when they're about to go down is just so good. And Iron Dragon going to be landing here. Another Death Frost active on top of the big man. And the halberds do get on top of that objective. So objective number 3 will be going to Grand Cathay. And the Streltsy do get temporarily shut down by the Jade Lancers, but it looks like some Kossars. Are these just basic Kossar archers? Yeah, they've intercepted in there. They're trying to hold them back, but for the most part, looking very good for Kislev. Objective 3, obviously going to be going to Grand Cathay, as the halberds are very, very close to capturing that. Nice little stuff right here. And the Fire Rain rocket and the cannons shooting in the back pretty well, but man, oh man, there's a lot of Kislev armor on these objectives. And even a Kislevite unit that has like a little bit of HP, like it's just on death's bed, it's going to be so tough to remove with that passive. It makes it just so difficult. We got Jade Warrior Crossbowmen too, like forced into melee combat versus Zargard. That's going to be so bad for them. What do we got over here? Yeah, these Jade Warriors actually performing pretty well against the Zargard. Of course, these guys were quite damaged by artillery, and a vacuum Zargard would just massively defeat Jade Warriors, but with this numerical advantage, maybe they will be able to win the day. More and more Fire Rain rockets shooting in, not seem to get crazy good value. The Fire Rain rocket, even though in theory seemed really cool, maybe it's a bit of a trap. It does cost a lot, you know, it's like 1,400. Whereas you could have had maybe some more, I don't really know, maybe Longbow Riders could be something to really consider to play the flank objectives, but Longbows aren't going to be good at all against like Streltsy and these different units, so I guess you kind of have to bank on artillery. Which on this map, artillery isn't like super good. There are ways to hide. You can see the Grand Cannon was mismicroed a little bit. It's actually being like moved up very, very close. Iron Dragon here going to be dropping a final transmutation on top of this blob of Kislevite. That's going to be quite good. Not overcasted, but it does hit 2 units, so at least there's a little bit of value going down there. Cannons continuing to blast in, but Kislev is pulling just so far ahead on score, and I think it's only a matter of time before the forces of the motherland are able to jump over here and grab objective number 3 from Grand Cathay, who's in a very entrenched position, which is allowing them to kind of get the advantageous fights for their artillery, but this is an objective game here, and they need to definitely play that. And obviously, if this were like a land battle, you know, Kislev would be diving the artillery, it'd be a very different picture, but they're certainly playing the objectives very, very well here. Armored Kossars with great weapons, also a very good choice. These guys will be able to certainly take these Jade Warrior halberds to pound land, or I think that's what it's called in the UK, yes, your dollar store, the pound land. Halberds going down very, very quickly as the Cathay halberds try their best to stuff the forces of Kislev off the objective, but Kislev is a very mobile faction, and here we get the Kosovo dervishes who are able to jump on top of this point. Cavalry don't really have good capture weight, so it's going to take quite some time to get this. And some Jade Lancers will come back. Jade Lancers will, of course, defeat the Kosovo dervishes in combat, but they'll get wrecked by pretty much any of the Kislev infantry, and also will not trade effectively against winged Lancers of Kislev. Now, looking around the battlefield, looking like it's getting to the point of no return. I don't see too much of a comeback here for the forces of Grand Cathay. Despite having a really cool color scheme, I think it's going to be the end of the road for them. As the Streltsy maneuver around the point, going to be dropping some long shots, maybe on the Grand Cannon. Might be able to shut that down. We will have to see. But this is like a classic case of Cathay getting stuffed in their deployment zone because they probably brought too much range and too much artillery. Definitely need some things like, it's hard because Terracotta Sentinels do get blasted. You know what unit I've actually had massive success against Kislev with is the Sky Junk. The Sky Junk on this map can really abuse these hills and sit on top of them, and it can shoot down and just absolutely wreck the Kislevite infantry. So I think like seeing Sky Junks, even though it does sound like a bit of a meme unit, I think here it could actually be really, really good. So looking around the battlefield, I think that's game blouses in the words of the Chappelle Show here. The forces of the Motherland advancing onto the objective here are going to be taking that, and the Winged Lancers, the Polish cavalry of old, are here, and they're going to make sure that nobody gets this objective as these Streltsy march through the snow. It is their natural habitat, after all. The Kislevites are very used to the cold here. So GG, well played. That is it. That is it. Game 1, going to the forces of the Motherland and Kislev. I really like that matchup. I feel like it's very dynamic for sure. The one thing I really didn't like about the build was the crossbow spam. I felt like they were just like kind of mediocre. Like maybe Crane Gunners or Iron Hail Gunners, so you have something against armor, because like Kislev is so armored, and bringing all these like non-armor piercing missiles feels so weird. Yeah, this is a good build though, for sure. Very good at holding objectives. I'm surprised we didn't see any Bear Chariots. Bear Chariots I feel would have been like absolutely hard countered this entire army, but I guess he was afraid of cannons, but the Bear Chariots still feel really good against Cathay in my opinion. So that is game 1. That is going to be going to Hannidins, and ODM claiming first blood here as we go on to the next match, and they will continue. So the next one is going to be the Eye in the North. Alrighty, let's do it. Sky Junk actually is good in that matchup, believe it or not. Gonna be having some water here for a second, guys. Just hanging tight, enjoying all your company. Really good to be back with the tournaments. How do you best counter Kislev? It depends. Kislev, I'm trying to think. Kislev did lose earlier. They lost pretty heavily to a Khorne player. And then we also, I've seen Cathay beat Kislev on many occasions. Oftentimes using Miao Ying plus a Sky Junk, and then like, it depends on the map. Like, Cathay versus Kislev is map dependent. If it's an open field map, their artillery is just insane. But on that map, it was kind of like obstructed, so it wasn't like as good. Yeah. And also the crossbows were kind of a weird choice. I didn't like the crossbows very much. But aside from that, like Iron Dragon can be good, but like he also is better against light targets because of his breath attack. And Miao Ying is really good against armor, because Miao Ying's one spell, if you cast it on like a Zargard, they're just dead. It does like so much damage. I think Miao Ying is the way to go in that matchup. Sky Junk Terracotta Peasants, yeah, there's a lot of ways you could go about it. The Zargard were absolute middle linebackers for sure. They were absolute middle linebackers, very solid performance. So we're now in game 2. The map is going to be Eye in the North. Let's see if the players have any questions. Houseplant is going to go Khorne, abandoning Ogre Kingdoms. Okay. So we got a Khorne pick from the Houseplant. Hannidins will go... Do we have the names in the correct spot? Looks like we do. Nurgle, baby! Hell yeah! Nurgle is actually really good against Khorne. I really hope that Hannidins uses my dreaded build that I've been using against Nurgle. My Nurgle has not lost to Khorne in probably like 10 or 15 games. There is some really, really good builds. Especially on this map. This map is really good for Nurgle to defend the back point. All Cathay units are way better if they get their Harmony buff, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Yeah, there's only 7 maps for Domination, but I'm pretty sure that Creative Assembly is going to be adding more with the upcoming DLCs and patches. So that's going to be pretty soon, I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine. Which, yeah, there needs to be way more. I'm gonna try and work with Creative Assembly to repurpose old maps. I'm gonna open some conversations with them about that and see if we can get that done. Like open field maps. I think that would, like, a lot of people who don't like land battle enjoyers, who don't necessarily enjoy Domination, I think would enjoy Domination more if the maps were more like old school. Yeah, so we'll have to see. We will have to see. Yes, Misha is correct. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is a game my wife and I played together when we first met. Quite a bit. Warcraft 3, huge fan. All that goodness, yeah. I haven't played Warcraft 3 in a while, but I'm thinking about doing a stream one of these days. Big Papa Nurgles coming in with the steel chair, baby. Super hyped for this one. It's going to be fun. Rejoice in proliferation, I know. Nurgle is good against Khorne. It's an even matchup. It's a very even matchup, in my opinion. Yeah, I'm hyped for this one. These are both really strong players, so I'm curious to see what schemes they'll have here in the night. Are you going to make an AoE? Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Eledron. I'll definitely get some info out on that soon. Part of me with Age of Empires 4, I really like to play it on my own time. Like, here's the thing, like, having a game to play on my own time that I don't have to, like, stream and cover is definitely, like, therapeutic in a way. So, like, part of me likes to do that, but I don't know. There's been a lot of a dwindling interest in Age of Empires 4 for sure. Like when I remember when the game was first at like the first month or two, even the first like 3 months of Age of Empires, you would go on like Twitch and see there being like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 people watching at night. And now you go on and there's like 200 people. I'm like, so from, you know, covering it on my main channel, it's a little bit tricky. Yeah. Hey, Wheelhouse, thanks for becoming a member. Yes. Welcome to the Dukes of Haggard, brother. Greatly appreciate it. Dude, I can't wait for the Chaos Dwarves. Oh my god, that's going to be so fun. Can we see Sansa? Ant-Man, you probably are going to see... Well, Kugath, I don't think so. The Great Unclean One is the best choice here. Because he basically hard counters like all the Khorne infantry if he gets in a fight. You got to go Great Unclean One, in my opinion. Like, any other choices is a mistake. Any other choices is a mistake. Yeah. Yeah, open domination maps would be really good. Like, no, the lanes are fun. I like the lane maps, but you need more than lane maps. You need like open field maps where a normal battle can be fought and then the objectives are played. I would also like to see the starting funds a little bit higher, not like too much higher because then the battle's over like really quick, but yeah. A couple minor tweaks to domination. I do have a video I'm going to be preparing this week, like with my feedback for domination mode. I didn't want to make a video like right when it came out, you know, and just have all these like, you know, conclusions before having a couple tournaments. To clickbait you guys with. So I've had a chance to play a lot now, and I have a lot of thoughts that I think are relatively well developed. So I'm going to do a video this week, and hopefully it'll be good feedback for CA to make changes in the future. Hey, Turin, could you link your Discord? Yeah, if we have any mods in chat that could drop a link to Discord, that'd be greatly appreciated. What are your thoughts on the Dwarf versus Nurgle matchup? I think that Dwarves are going to stomp Nurgle. Yeah. Although Nurgle does have Rot Flies, which have really good AP. I don't know. I feel like Nurgle will struggle versus Dwarves. Yeah. I do. Dude, Lizardmen are going to be so good on this game mode. Oh my god. They're going to be the thing of the gods. Okay, interesting build. That Nurgle build is almost similar to mine. The only difference is I don't use Plague Bearers. I use 2 Beasts of Nurgle instead. Because the Beasts of Nurgle can fight the Greater Demons much better, but the Forces of Khorne didn't actually bring a Greater Demon, so I think his build's going to be very good. Does the regular Great Unclean One have a Mortis engine? No, only the Exalted One does. Only the Exalted One. And the Exalted One is so good against Khorne because the Exalted Great Unclean One can actually go fisticuffs with Scarbrand and with healing can potentially win. And also can, well, with support and healing. And can also defeat the regular Exalted Bloodthirster pretty decisively in combat with healing. Yeah. He's really, really good. Super solid. Forsaken aren't that good against dwarves because Forsaken lack armor piercing, and if you get like Longbeards to fight Forsaken, it's like a pretty darn even fight, and the dwarves can really hold them quite well. Like, I can see dwarves being very good against Nurgle, because you have like tanky infantry. Dwarven shooting is going to be super strong against Nurgle. Also, like, if Rot Flies and things try and get in your backline, you have Slayers to just rip them to shreds. So, I do think it's going to be a little bit dwarf favored. Chameleon Skink Spam will give people nightmares, yes, but they won't be able to hold objectives very well. So you have to take that into account. Domination forces people to fight. They will be really good for jacking objectives and like trolling on the flanks and things like that. Yeah, honestly, Marius, I do feel like most of the Warhammer 2 races are going to be better in domination than a lot of the Warhammer 3 ones, just because they have more stuff. They have like DLCs. High Elves might struggle, yeah. High Elves just always struggle, so that's a safe bet. Now, for the forces of Hannidins and Nurgle, it's going to be the big sumo man, the Exalted Mortis Engine, backed up by triple Plague Bearer. Very interesting choice. Plague Bearers trade pretty well against Khorne Demons, but against the Mortals, they actually do lose. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess. If you have a Great Unclean One draining them, you're going to win the fight. Double Cultist with the Plague Bearer summon. We got some Furies up in the sky, and that's pretty much it. So a very objective holding build, which I like, because Plague Bearers of Nurgle can fend off Khorne Dogs, like, super hard. So I think throwing them on objective number 3 is going to be pretty sweet. Now, over here in the back, we do have the Khorne player. It is going to be the Houseplant, and he is currently going with double Cultist of Khorne, Halberds, and some Chaos Spawn, and I think a Herald? Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Herald the Herald here, and some more Halberds. So, if Houseplant tries to actually fight... Okay, I don't know. Did his game crash or something? Well, we'll just restart with the exact same build. It doesn't matter. Seems like he was having some issues today. Poor lad. Let's see who crashed. Yep, it was Hannidins, so we'll get him back in here. No problem. Oh, he showed me a screenshot of his game. He has like a massive screen, like black screen of death on his visuals. All right, no problem, Hannidins. It's okay, man. I know the game's got its issues, so let's get you back in here. All right, so we got to look at the armies. We'll break it down here in a second, and we'll go from there. The Ogres were played a lot in the tournament, but they haven't been played in the top 4 yet. So let's get Hannidins back in here. Let's go ahead and give him a new key to get into the lobby, and there you go. All righty. He had the screen of doom in there. Yeah, so what I was saying is that the Nurgle Plague Bearers can actually hold the back objectives really, really well. They can hold back the Khorne Dogs. Like, Khorne Dogs will not be able to get through Plague Bearers, like, ever. Even 2 of them would probably lose to a Plague Bearer. So, if you just, like, plop a Plague Bearer on your back objective and then just sit with a Mortis Engine on the middle against, like, a mass melee army, dude, that's pretty sweet. I really like that. Yeah, High Elves. That's one of the running memes of Warhammer 2 is that, like, High Elf players are just, like, the biggest masochists. Like, their faction just is so much harder to play and just always struggles, but they just, like, have this, like, unyielding devotion to them. It was like High Elves and Dwarf players were, like, the 2 memes in that regard. Like, people who main Dwarves and main High Elves, like, were just super stubborn. Like, they wouldn't play the meta factions. They would just only play those ones when they can, and just, like, just suffering versus these, like, other overpowered factions, you know? Yeah, it was really funny. What's the bracket? All right, let's pull it up and look. So Samurai, taking a look over the bracket. So we did have a Wild Platypus defeat a move hacker to get to the grand finals. And then we have Hannidins versus Houseplant right now. And currently they're on game 2. So we did have Hannidins is having some PC issues with the game, but a lot of people are. So we're being very forgiving today with the game crashes. But the first game was won by Houseplant. And now we're going to see who's going to be advancing on to the grand finals. Should be quite a bit of fun. So we'll chill here until we get the game started and have some fun. Yes. Yeah, High Elf mains truly are a special breed of suffering. Because, like, they really are. Grim Soka, I 100% agree with you. I think that vampire counts are going to be extremely brutal in domination mode. Like, brutal. Like, death metal brutal. Yeah. Davy Jones, always appreciate waking up late onto Saturday and throwing on a tournament. Thanks for all the content. Hey, we're here to stay. We're here to stay. Thank you so much for that, Davey. Appreciate that. The Nomi says, Dwarfbane here, gladly suffering grudges for the book to satisfy when I can. Yeah. Dwarfs for life. It's an oath you take when you buy the game. Yeah, it's very true. I like dwarfs a lot. I played them a lot in the beginning. I would say I identify myself as like a Sigmarite in terms of like my game identity. Like Sigmar is my man. Like the Empire is my favorite. That's why I have an Empire army in tabletop, which unfortunately I painted horribly my first time around, so I'm having to repaint them now, which is kind of frustrating, but yeah, Sigmar is my dude. Yeah. I also really like Kislev because you have to remember my household. I'm obviously American, but my wife is Polish. So like our household is like basically like the Empire and Kislev like joining forces. Because Kislev is like basically a combination of like Eastern European culture. Like you have like Polish influence, you have Russian influence, you have like influence from all over, like the old Rus civilization, as well as like the cavalry, for example, like the bears and the lancers. Those are all like Polish inspired. They have like the winged hussar, like I don't know what the proper term is. I guess just the wings on the back, the howling wings, but very cool. Aaron, thank you for the 20. Really appreciate it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the battle. We have the double cultists of Khorne, the Herald, Halberds, and Spawn facing off against the exalted Great Unclean One with his double cultist, Plague Bears, and some Furies. So, Nurgle, they just want to sit on the middle objective because if you're trying to bump and grind with Nurgle is definitely the best at it. They have just mad AoE healing. He's got some jiggling business here as well, which is quite funny. And yeah, Mortis Engine with summons and durability. That's their jam. That is their jam indeed. Yeah, the Empire the Empire in Total War Warhammer is inspired by the Holy Roman Empire, right? Like the Lanzknecht or the Great Swords, you know, the aesthetic, you know, all that stuff. So that's kind of the inspiration. Oh, did I not? Oh my God, I forgot to switch to gameplay. Oh my goodness, it's okay. You guys didn't miss anything. You're all good. They just got to the middle objective, a classic Turin blunder. It wouldn't be one of my streams without it. No, you're good. There was no fighting yet. We were basically just talking about the parameters of the battle here. Now, loading in here, The Plague Bears of Nurgle descending on the low ground objective. The biggest thing for Nurgle is to make sure that they keep everything together. If Khorne can isolate any of their units, bread will be buttered. They need to fight together. Stay in one big disgusting blob. Khorne doesn't have any magic to really punish the... you guys love Turin radio. It's what you subscribe for. Come on. A little bit of a mistake here by Hannidins. And I'm saying this as someone who considers himself a Nurgle main. I suffer for Nurgle. You need to have some durable infantry on your back objective, or else Khorne is just going to go get it with like hounds and mobility. Now, the Great Unclean One's going to be moving in. And it looks like the first summons are going to be going down from the cultists, so there is going to be a Plague Bear summon on top of those units. The other Plague Bears moving out to fight the Halberds here on the other side. We are back in 2018, and I know you guys love every second of it. Yeah, I should have left a Plague Bear back here. It would have taken a long time to remove that. Nonetheless, the fighting in the middle is going to start off good for Khorne, but it's going to quickly start switching when the Mortis engine starts to drain down all these really expensive infantry who are getting hit by all the debuffs from the Great Unclean One, right? Ooh, a nice ability there. That is going to be the Stream of Corruption, which does quite a bit of damage here, although one Plague Bear of Nurgle actually died very quickly in that fight. I'm not sure how, but looks like they did. Rotfly's coming in to support in the fight, but there's a lot of Halberds here. Plague Bears do have a nice surround, getting some good engagements against the spawn of Khorne. And the old Plague Bears trying to waddle their way in. Both players are dropping summons on top of one another, which is very funny. And this is basically Nurgle games in a nutshell, but how the hell did this Great Unclean One end up surrounded by enemies? This is a huge mistake. Like, Nurgle typically wins these fights super easily, but a couple misplays here by Hannidins, letting his Great Unclean One get surrounded and beaten on by all these characters, like, that doesn't need to happen. It should be standing on top of Plague Bears and cackling all the way to the Blood Bank. Now, on the back, Nurglings trying to hold this objective. Definitely need some Exalted Boys. It looks like a couple Nurglings are coming in to help, but they're just going to be basically free kills here for the spawn of Khorne, which are very good against light armor. And the Exalted Great Unclean One is back in business. Halberds are broken. We have a couple spawn units. And Big Man Nurgle probably will eventually be wrestling this middle objective. Granted, I don't know how many of their Plague Bears are actual ones. Okay, it looks like there is one unit of Plague Bears here, which is an actual unit. And I don't know if I like the Nurgling sacrifice here. It's just like giving, 700 gold for free to Khorne. Looks like some Furies are going to be jumping in the back. Like, I would have liked to have seen some good quality units like Forsaken moving in there, something like that, to really try and wrestle that. Now, as far as this objective goes, the Herald of Khorne is getting a little bit beat up, and Nurgle is behind on value, but not by that much. Nurgle typically can, fight from behind on value because they have healing, right? So the healing does compensate for the value discrepancies. But, the Great Unclean One is a raid boss. This guy is really tough to kill, and it looks like the Herald of Khorne might actually be dying here. You can see it's actually trapped in the main blob, and it's getting circle beaten by the bell now. So Nurgle's back in business. Granted, their summons are going to be disappearing soon, and then suddenly the Exalted Great Unclean One's going to be standing alone against like this big army of Khorne. What are the reinforcement choices going to be? Okay, we get some Forsaken going in here finally, which is going to be really good. The Forsaken should be able to hammer down this position, while it looks like Khorne does have a triple cap, which is really brutal. Great Unclean One and their cultists fighting well. Looks like one of the cultists of Nurgle did die. Ooh, man, I was wrong. Okay, I didn't see his HP bar. He is not fighting well. As a matter of fact, the Exalted Big Chungus is actually getting feasted on by the Khorne Dog, so just take it with a grain of salt, guys. Typically, Nurgle does a little bit better in those blob fights. I think there was just some big misplays in terms of positioning, and also the summons were strange, and these Plague Bears should have been on top of this fight. They shouldn't have been blocking here. Having them with you and just getting the benefit of the heals. I don't know what these Rotflies are doing. Oh, they're using their Death's Head grenades. Very interesting, but Fleshy Abundance does go down to the Big Chungus, trying to heal him. He's at negative 38 leadership, and the Khorne Dogs are nipping here at the heels of the Exalted Great Unclean One, while they do try and get their back objective with a couple of the Forsaken. But for the most part, looks like this is going to be a decisive victory for Khorne. I mean, losing your Big Chungus is too much. Like, if the Great Unclean One can magically stabilize somehow, like, I can see some sort of, like, wild comeback, but if he dies, I think that's just game over. It's just too valuable of a unit to lose. And Khorne is just marching all over the battlefield here. Moving in here with the Halberds. We got some spawn and more Halberds moving in. And the Plague Bears are kind of interesting. I think the double Nurgling plus the Beast of Nurgle combo is a lot better. It gives you better staying power and better debuffs. And then you need to trickle out your summons of Plague Bears. You don't summon them both at once, because they're not about like burst damage. It's about staying power for the Mortis engine. So a couple little Nurgle misplays. Certainly going to be costing the game. Here on the other side, yeah, like the Khorne forces in the back are going to be routed by the Forsaken, which finally came in and did a good job, but the value isn't like that far apart. But now that there's no healing, that value discrepancy is going to be much bigger, as the Plague Drones are going to be going down, and it looks like that probably will be a 2-0 victory for the Houseplant here in the grand final. Yeah, the Great Unclean One can outduel like any of those characters, but he was being circle beaten by 2 cultists as well as the Herald, and that's a lot of damage for sure. Stinky skulls for the Skull Throne? Well, kind of. The problem is, like, Khorne doesn't get any skulls here. I feel like the Nurglings just like disappear into ash or into waste or whatever the hell they are. And, you know, there's no real loot, I guess, when you're going after the demons. The Forsaken for sure will have skulls, but aside from that, if I were Nurgle at this point, I would probably just withdraw from the game. I don't think there's any chance for them to come back, at least in my experience with playing Nurgle in this matchup. You need to win the blob fight. That's the big deciding factor for sure. You guys wanted the radio show. Don't lie to me. I know you guys wanted to hear the talk radio for the entire battle instead of the actual commentary. Yeah. I wish I could do like the 1940s like announcer thing. It's so isn't it trippy going back? Have you guys ever gone back and listened to like early radio broadcasts, like when they're doing like the baseball games and stuff? It's just like the way they talked it's so alien to modern, you know, like diction, word choice, and just like the sound of it. It's just crazy. Yeah, so at this point, it's just going to be more dogpiling. Khorne is just going to keep circle beating onto the Nurgle forces. We do get a bunch of Plague Bearers moving out, but like they have no support. Like maybe if the Great Unclean One were to come back, but Khorne is just like, the Khorne dogs are so good at killing Nurglings. Nurglings are lightly armored and just like have no durability against Khorne dogs. That's going to be very tough for sure. The first match was won by, I believe, didn't Houseplant win the first game? So I think if Houseplant wins this with Khorne, I think it would just be over. That would be a 2-0. Hannidins won the first. Did I get it wrong? We'll have to go back and check. I do not believe so, though, but I could be wrong. Did I put the scoreboard incorrectly? If you guys could go back and check for me, that would be greatly appreciated. So the Khorne dogs pulling away. Obviously, the Chaos Furies of Nurgle able to kind of dissuade them from wanting to attack. And here, down in the pits of hell, the Forsaken trying to fight their way through these units. But that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. You wanted the Turin ASMR. Oh my god. Yeah, the spawn of Khorne are really amazing against Nurgle. These guys have such stopping power. 190 weapon strength is insane. Many spawn for other factions are between like I think they have like around 130 or like 160 on some of them, but 190 is so much stopping power, especially considering they just like are so good against light armor. Nurgle is really going to like take a huge beating from the spawn of Khorne. I would imagine the value after the fact will Houseplant was Cathay. Okay, well in that case, yes, it will be a 1-1 series. Maybe I put the scoreboards a little bit incorrectly, so let me go ahead and update that. So, oh no, I did do it correctly. Okay, so yes, this will be going to game 3. This will be going to game 3. I don't know, I just, for some reason, yeah. Houseplant was Cathay, that's right. Thank you guys. Really appreciate that. So the Plague Bearer Horde is moving in, the Haggard Hordes of Hell, but basically this is just like a lawnmower. Like, Plague Bearers will trade reasonably well with spawn because they do have 50 weapon strength, they hit pretty hard. Or 48 weapon strength, I think. You can see some of the spawn are actually going down, but like, it's gonna take these chunky boys a long time to grind through that Nurgle armor. And like in terms of like back objective play, there's not a whole lot Nurgle does well in that regard. Like I guess sending some Forsaken to try and capture objective 1 could be okay, but Khorne could probably summon some like dual weapon warriors or something back here, which would be very problematic for sure. Ledron, no worries. Yeah, Hannidins did win the first match, correct. ODM struck first blood, but now RTK is back on the menu. And the forces of Khorne able to hold back Nurgle. The value is getting worse and worse because the Plague Bearers are basically just going into a meat grinder. It's like an industrial factory here. Definitely not good. And the Forsaken crashing from the high ground, able to get a downhill charge on the dual weapon warriors, but these guys are actually very strong. They have huge armor, so they can actually endure the Forsaken of Nurgle. But yeah, a wise decision. That game was a foregone conclusion when the Great Unclean One died. The Plague Father demands retribution. Yeah, no, I got confused. The old man I get confused sometimes. Bear with me. All right. So, a victory for the Blood God. The Great Unclean One still got 2,500 value despite dying, which is pretty incredible. Spawn of Khorne, 800, and what did the other ones get? 1,400. Yeah, pretty good across the board. I like the build. I do think it was possible for Nurgle to win if they played a little bit tighter, but even still, the Plague Bearers, I don't know. I guess they did okay in terms of value, some of them, but I've never been a huge fan of the Plague Bearers in that matchup. Always like to just use like Nurglings and Forsaken and just use the Mortis Engine to carry the day. Now, that is going to be 1-1, Houseplant and Hannidins going to game 3. So how the last battle will work, it will be on the, we haven't really done Silver Spire today. We haven't really done Silver Spire. I know a lot of people don't like this map, so we will do the Broken Lake Gully. Yes, this is quite a fun one. Alrighty, so taking a look at the picks and bans, let's go ahead and give them the deal. All right, so for the next game, you two use blind pick and no banning earlier bans and no repeat faction picks. Just tagging the players, giving them the instructions for the grand finals here. Very good. Very good indeed. So how this works when we go to game 3 is that they will use a tool which allows them to blind ban and blind pick. However, they cannot ban someone they banned earlier, and they also cannot play a faction they played in the same series. So, for example, Houseplant cannot play Cathay and cannot play Khorne again. And Nurgle and Kislev are off the menu for, okay, I don't know who this is. Some random guy just joined the lobby there. Saying hello. Sorry, man. I'd love to have you play, but you got to work through the tournament to get there. And yeah, getting all the screen blocker messages. Nurgle against Khorne is actually fine. But yeah, Nurgle in general is much harder to play than other factions, but they can win. I've won with Nurgle against really strong players, but you always kind of feel like you're playing on the back foot. It's kind of like Cathay in the same way. Cathay can win, but it's like you got to work pretty hard for it. Granted, we had an epic Cathay win versus Slaanesh earlier. That was crazy. All right, let's jump in here. I'm watching the picks and bans right now. Oh, this is exciting. I can actually watch this. Okay, so I'm watching the bans live. We're using like a third-party tool, which is pretty cool. It allows you to do the blind picks and blind bans. Okay, so we have a Khorne. Is it Khorne versus Kislev, or were those the bans? Oh, no, okay. So Khorne is banned by Houseplant, and Hannidins banned Kislev. And now we're going to wait for their picks. We will see what the champions will decide on. Of course, in the finals, the grand platypus awaits them. It is going to be best of 5. A duel of fates. Hey, Garland, thank you for the 30. Okay, what's the pick going to be? Oh, I'm hyped for this one. Map set. It is the Broken Leg Gully. All right, just giving Hannidins the old pick there. And the picks for the match are going to be Tzeentch versus Grand Cathay. Ooh. Now remember, this is different because since we banned Pendulum, Tzeentch can't cheese all their infantry. Because that was the problem before. Like, you couldn't go infantry against Tzeentch because basically they would just pendulum them and you would have nothing. You would have to use Terracottas, and then Terracottas just died to Tzeentch shooting horribly. But now that Grand Cathay can actually use infantry in this matchup, it could be really interesting. I'm super excited to see how this goes. And this map does have a pretty good shooting alley, so there can be some good shooting from downriver to potentially punish them. Playing Nurgle is like dancing on banana peels. Hey, Tiamat, thank you for the donation. Glad to get back from work to catch a stream. Thanks for all the great content. I will still see Scarbrand dropping a stone cold quote on people. Yeah, probably. He'd also give the people's elbow. The blood god's elbow. Yeah, this is a fun one. Yeah, this is a lore battle. I'm hyped for this one. Oh, look at this. He's actually playing the sub faction. Houseplant is playing the terracotta graveyard one against Grand Cathay, which is like the first campaign battle. That's really exciting. Yeah, Beasts of Nurgle are really good actually, and they regenerate. Like, I don't like Plague Bears too much. I could show you guys the build. I could show you guys the build on one of my other streams. I love watching Grand Cathay. It's fun. It's really fun. This is a good map for Grand Cathay for sure. This is like one of their better maps. So Gorgers are limited to 2 per army, and Iron Blasters are limited to 1. So you can't go double Iron Blaster, and you can't bring more than 2 Gorgers on your entire army, including reinforcements. So those are the only limitations we have today. Aside from that, like, you don't have to worry about attacking rules and things like that, like in this game mode. People just kind of do whatever they want. Yeah, which is nice. But we will be having land battle tournaments this next week, which I'm super excited for. So that's going to be mega fun. And it is Houseplant versus Hannidins on the Broken Leg Gully. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I like that we have the options to do both tournaments for sure. Domination is definitely way better for the quick battle ladder because you don't need like tournament rules to make the gameplay good. It's just like functions. But land battles do have a really magical feeling as well. So it'll be really fun to see, like, switch between the two and see what's really different and like which players do well and which players can do well in both. That's something else I'm really, really excited. Pendulum is currently banned from this tournament. Players are not allowed to use it. Yeah, it's a ban that, as the tournament host, I put into place because I just think it's broken and it's just unfun. It's just stupid. It is too powerful to be left alive. Yeah, Grand Cathay cannons are pretty good on this map for sure. Like, usually what you'll want to do is just play the middle with Grand Cathay and then play your back objective. Like, cannon barrage in the middle for support, march up with infantry, and then, like, have a terracotta and some spears sitting on the back objective, and your second terracotta up in the middle, like, fighting with your infantry. How do we know that land battles are going to work? Oh, they'll work 100%. They'll work 100%. I've been playing a ton of land battles. I play them on my own time. I literally alternate between them. Like at nights, I'll just like play like 4 or 5 domination battles, and the next day I'll go play like 2 or 3 land battles. Yeah. Manual shooting of iron blasters is banned, but you can manual shoot other artillery, yeah. Like iron blasters are just broken because they can like cheese your characters. So you can like, I haven't like put any rules in place to manual shooting the junks, because it's just like they're already kind of haggard, so it's like whatever. Yeah. Who Am I says Pendulum Ben is great. I actually really love the small Tzeentch guy on his flying disc. Yeah, he's a really fun caster lord. And honestly, Kairos is still really good. He's got blue fire, he's got regrowth, he's got a great kit of spells, he's got a snare. Still really, really a beast for sure. Wow, look at that Tzeentch build. Oh my god, it's being led by a mighty cultist. So the cultist is a really cool combo because with the lore of fire, he gives Kindle Flame passive, which makes the entire enemy army weak to fire damage. So that's really, really cool. So it looks like it's going to be Forsaken spam because Cathay really struggles against Forsaken, backed up by 5 blues as well as a cultist. And then if we take a look here at the Cathay army as we load into this battle, I don't have a screen blocker up or anything, do I? Yeah. Yeah, Kislev is definitely doing well. We saw Kislev lose one and win one today. They beat Cathay and they lost to Khorne earlier in the top 4. So Adam asks, do you know why they made Pendulum so much stronger? It's bugged. It's bugged right now. It's legitimately like programmed wrong. The hitbox for the Pendulum is like way wider than it should be. It like literally expands outwards and in like way more than it used to. So it's bugged. That's partially why. Like we got confirmation from Creative Assembly that it's not working as intended, and it's problematic because of that. Yeah. Yeah, Kairos is still really good, even without Pendulum. He's got there are other spells in the game, but the problem is you would just see Tzeentch players just only bring Pendulum and they just cheese you the whole game with it, and it's just like, ugh. It's horrible. Like, players were going so far as to just not bring infantry or pendulum targets, which is so toxic. It's just like, oh, man. Well, players loading in. Hopefully they will make it. And it looks like we have arrived. No screen blocker. Look at that. I did it correctly for once. So it is the Cultist build. So the Cultist is here. Leading the mighty Tzeentch host is the hero. Fireball and Flaming Sword of Ruin. No Burning Head. Interesting. Yeah, I guess Burning Head isn't that good against Cathay anyways. But yeah, going to be imbuing fire damage, and Fireball basically just to trigger the Kindle Flame passive. And he can also summon a unit of Cultists, which is rad. Or excuse me, Pink Horrors. And we're going to be getting a big split push. It looks like we got Forsaken and Blues like all over the map. And for Cathay, we have a Dragon-Blooded Lord of Yang. We have double Longma Rider, backed up by double Grand Cannon and a single Jade Warrior in the middle to try and push up to maybe get this objective. But man, oh man, it is really, really hard for Cathay to deal with Forsaken. It is super problematic. Now, Terracotta Sentinels would actually be really, really good against this build because there's not a lot of shooting from Tzeentch, although they could summon in something to shoot, like a Flamer. But nonetheless, I think that, yeah, Terracotta Sentinel would still be good. Getting it up to Objective 1, trying to shoot them off Objective 2. It looks like Tzeentch is basically just going to play the sides, and then, like, that's also very scary because if they play the sides, they can then collapse down these side hills, and I don't know, I wonder if Celestial Dragon Guard, now that Pendulum is banned in this tournament, I wonder if Celestial Dragon Guard could be an answer against the Forsaken. Because they have good armor piercing and they're armored themselves, so theoretically they could trade quite well. But you just worry about, like, Flamers of Tzeentch. But then again, the Flamers of Tzeentch could also be countered by the shooting of the Grand Cannons. Hey! Thank you so much for that donation! Donna, really appreciate that. $100, oh my god, Jesus. Well, thank you so much. It really helps me to put the prizes forward for the players, which I usually do out of pocket, so thank you so much. That is a huge Chungus donation and is super generous. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the cannons go boom indeed. Currently, there has been not too much boom yet. Oh my god, look at the cannons. They're actually able to get up and over that hill. Wow, it's pretty good. Yeah, and they go through and actually take out some of the Forsaken of Tzeentch. And what are the summons going to be? It's going to be Jade Warriors. So interesting combo, actually, to defeat Forsaken. You hit them with Jade Warriors in the front, and then you rear charge them with the Great Long Riders. Dude, Donner, again, thank you so much. That is mega generous. And thank you for supporting the old Total War multiplayer community. It means a lot. And hopefully your favorite faction will win. Who are you rooting for, man? Let us know. The Dragon-Blooded Lord cackling up in the sky. as the cannons continue to hammer in and getting some okay value, at least breaking down the shields. The shields will regenerate relatively soon, but the Jade Warrior tank with the Longma Spank could be very good. Although, okay, Screamers of Tzeentch coming in. Screamers of Tzeentch, even though they are anti-large armor piercing, they get absolutely steamrolled by great Longma Riders. Like, Longma Riders will kill them in like a couple seconds after the engagement. The tourney's been really good. We've had some super good back and forth games. I'm really concerned for Cathay though in this game. Like, investing in the double cannon is good, for sure. I think a single against each might be a little bit more reasonable because they might lose, they might get triple capped here, for sure. And now, like, these Jade Warriors are basically just going to get karate chopped by the Forsaken, and then suddenly you're in a position where Cathay is just back in their spawn zone. You got to be a little bit more aggressive here. And now there's going to be some Furies getting a cannon here, which just sucks. We get Iron Hail Gunners moving up as well to potentially try and deal with the old Forsaken, but, like, yeah, the Spears are not going to clear out those Furies quickly. You need Longma Riders to deal with that. Now, Screamers are occupying their attention. Tzeentch just kind of cackling in the night as the Forsaken continue to shoot. Yeah, and look at the Jade Warriors definitely on the receiving end of these Forsaken. Really, really not a good fight for them. Screamers versus Longma Riders. Look how quickly the old Screamers go down here. Really brutal. But oh my god, look at the shooting from the Blues. Actually doing some good work against Longmas. But this is very cost effective for Grand Cathay. Killing 2 units of Screamers like outright is great. Those things are not cheap. Now in the backfield though, one of the Grand Cannons actually being taken down. Pretty crappy for sure. Spears and Peasants trying to deal with it, but like the peeling is very, very weak for these guys. I think we're going to have to see like a concentrated Terracotta push in the middle. And there needs to be like a big victory up here for Grand Cathay. But like, yeah, they win the Air Force fight, but man, oh man, that just like went so south for them. Like the 2 Jade Warriors just get absolutely dominated by Forsaken. Jade Warriors are just so haggard. I don't know why. They just like, I mean, obviously Forsaken are a much better combat unit, but that's rough. So cannons, like there's no good cannon targets either. The Tzeentch build was very well thought out. You also have to take that into account because basically the Tzeentch build is super wide and it has no big expensive targets. Therefore, Grand Cannons, like when your Grand Cannons are having to shoot into Blue Horrors and Forsaken, you know stuff is going really, really badly. A better build, I think, against Tzeentch, considering that Pendulum is off the table, would have been maybe using like a ton of infantry and like just mobile archers to move up and like pressure the objectives. Because if you could get like some Crossies shooting into Forsaken and you know, have some Jade Warriors holding them in place with Longma Riders, like a super wide infantry-based build, I think it could be a little bit better. Granted, Grand Cathay is doing really good keeping up on value, but again, objectives are, it's a triple cap by Tzeentch right now. And Cathay has so much value kind of sitting back here and cackling, it's going to take too long for them to get up on the objectives. One Grand Cannon's still shooting, but I mean, again, it's shooting mostly chaff units. Little Grom, I would say Grand Cathay's cannons are better than Little Grom. Grand Cathay's cannons are amazing if there's big targets to shoot, but if there's not, like, you know, you're going to have a bad time. Nice summon going down by the cultists here. Going to be dropping some changing of the ways. The Pink Horrors getting the Flaming Sword of Ruin, triggering the Kindle Flame for the army. And more Furies and Screamers are being sent across the map. Well, the Forsaken are just like, hey man, if you guys just want to sit back here and shoot us with cannons, we will happily do it all day. You know, the Fire Rain Rocket might have been better against this build. The Fire Rain Rocket against Tzeentch Infantry is actually quite good. So Peasant Archer shooting up into the hill, getting some okay damage into the Forsaken, but Forsaken are very fast and very furious, certainly knowing how to do the old Tokyo Drift as they charge downhill. And many of these Peasants are going to be torn to shreds by the hard-hitting Forsaken, a very, very nasty unit. And yeah, there's archers coming, but this is like a classic recipe for disaster with Cathay, where you're like trading equally in value because you're in such a defensive posture, but you're just like not playing the field at all. Not playing it at all. Dragon-Blooded Lord kind of cackling there in the sky. As the Longma Riders are very good at defending here. They can kill Chaos Fury super quickly. And you can see Longma Riders are one of the units here in the roster that are just doing so good. So good. These Blue Horrors have the easiest job in the realms of chaos, just kind of sitting back here dancing and playing with one another. Forsaken and Blues entrenched in the middle. The Cultists still just up here with a massive horde of hell. Just really pushing Cathay back into its spawn zone. And I honestly think this is probably GG. I don't think there's any way Cathay can come back. Cathay is a faction where you need to have initial control of the objectives and then push up. And then like hold it. And then like maybe you get pushed off, but at that point you ideally have enough. They're really a 2-cap faction here. They're really a 2-cap faction. The cannons are actually pretty good on this map because if you park the cannons far back like here in this zone, they can shoot up in the hills. They can hit all 3 objectives. This is probably one of the best maps in the game for cannons, as a matter of fact. If you're deep set, you can cover everything. You can shoot objective 1, you can hit 3, and you can hit 2. It's really, really good. Yeah, you know, a Skyjunk might have been okay here, but I still don't think it would have killed the Forsaken fast enough. I think a very wide infantry build with Longma support and like Miao Ying would have been really good, because Miao Ying can kill Forsaken very quickly, using her magic as well as her armor-piercing attacks. Iron Hail Gunners shooting up into the sky, getting some very, very good DPS. Iron Hail Gunners, if these things are allowed to shoot, they pack a serious punch. And I think they're just going to keep taking down the Screamers up in the sky. We'll see. Yep, going after the Screamers. Probably going to get them popped. Now, in the meantime, Long Marauders going to be going over to intercept them as well. In the backfield, we get more and more Chaos Furies getting headed off by Jade Lancers, but not before cannons are actually being destroyed. It seems that the AI in Game 3 is actually much better at attacking the cannon pieces. I'm not saying like the campaign AI, but like when a player gives an order to attack a Grand Cannon, I feel like they follow through very, very quickly there. And yeah, it's got to be GG. There's no coming back at this point. If I were Cathay, probably drop from the game. But Hannidins is going to make a valiant last stand here and maybe try and claw for a triple cap. But a triple cap could be viable if Cathay was really punishing Tzeentch on the defensive, like if Tzeentch was extending into bad situations. But Tzeentch is actually trading like evenly, which means that they're not going to be getting enough momentum to go forward. Are you going to do a Warhammer 3 Faction War? Yes, it's going to be next Friday. It is going to be next Friday. Do you think it's... Both players are obviously very good to make it to the stage, but we saw two dominated... Are you talking about like one-sided matches? I think it's just early and people don't really know the meta yet. Like this is one of the first big community tournaments we've had, like ever. So people are just figuring stuff out now. You know, I think Cathay players will eventually learn. And now that Pendulum has been banned, you have to remember, Cathay players have been playing against Pendulum spam, so they're like afraid to go wide with infantry. But now that it's banned for this tournament, players really haven't had a lot of time to adjust to that and redo their armies, because that one spell was basically dictating the entire nature of matchups. GG, well played. That's going to be a Tzeentch victory. Wheelhouse, hey Turin, thanks for all the great content. Been lurking for a long time. Very happy to be able to contribute to the support of the channel. Go Nurgle. Nurgle all day, baby. Wheelhouse, thank you for the support. And I'll make you proud with Nurgle one of these days. GG. Yeah, the double cannon like against the wide army of Tzeentch, it's just like, here's the thing. Nothing in this starting army is good against any of this. Like Longmas suck against all these units. Cannons suck against all these units. And the Lord isn't that great either. It basically was a case of like the army just not being good. Yeah. But it was a valiant effort nonetheless. And Houseplant will be advancing on. Yes, the Houseplant has been watered. And we will update the bracket in just a second. So Houseplant stay here. And now let us go ahead and grab the dreaded Platypus. Platypus. Oh my God, why are there so many Platypus here in the channel? Which one is it? Which one is it? All right. So we'll update the old scorecards here. Reset all that. And looks good to me. All righty. As we prepare here for the grand final. So thank you all for joining once again. It's been a fun day of competition. It's the Houseplant. I love how like the names of our two finalists today is just, it's just so fun. We have a Houseplant fighting against a wild platypus. You know, I love it. All right, so here's the grand finals. It is upon us. Let me go and double check the prize. I can't remember what I put up as the prize today. Hold up. Checking here, going to the tournament. So it's $100 for first place and $50 for second. So in this case, both of them are going to be coming out with the prize, but the winner will get $100 US and the second place champion will get $50, which they can receive either through PayPal if they want, or I can give them a Steam gift card. So the first map, we're going to do the Silver Spire. This is best of 5, and we're going to be doing single picks and single bans for now. Alrighty, so let's get this going. All right, so going to give them the instructions for the best of 5. Houseplant versus Platy. Single pick and ban alternating until game 5. Good luck, have fun. All right, let's see who emerges victorious. The Silver Spire is going to be the first map. Team Platypus. Okay, let's put this to a vote now. This is the question of the ages. $10 billion. Who shall win? I'm curious what you guys think. After you've seen the games played today, we have the... What? Okay, okay, it's a menacing platypus right now. I gotta make sure that's correct. Menacing platypus. Is menacing platypus like someone like as a Smurf that I don't know? I'm actually quite curious about this. All right. So there you go. Let us know where your allegiance lies in the comment section below. as the players do their picks and bans. Yes. First map. Your map each time. Very good. Alrighty. Why have billions when you could have millions? Is that an Austin Powers joke? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, Cathay does have the cow technology. It's true. It's pretty hard to stop. It's a ferocious force of the old world. The cows. Nobody beats the Volkmar the Grimm's horses, though. Volkmar the Grimm. You guys remember? Oh my god. Speaking of a terror in this game mode, it's probably going to be Volkmar the Grimm. Just going to be unholy. Shetland says, got to put your faith in the old blood. All right, all right. We have the newcomer against Houseplant, of course, who played a lot of Warhammer 2. I don't recognize the Menacing Platypus. I don't. I feel like it might be someone smurfing on some sort of an account. I have no idea. Yeah. They've been some really even games today. Yeah, absolutely. Been some great matches across the board. Been super fun. By the way, as much as I hate asking for it, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do drop a like. Helps out quite a bit. But more importantly, the more likes a video has, the further the video goes out and the more people we get to play in the community and participate in these tournaments. So that really is kind of the formula for success there. Yeah, great matches. A platypus puts on a hat. Menacing platypus. Yeah, it's really fun. All right. Wow. Oh my god. Are we really seeing this matchup? Okay, so a wild platypus bans Khorne and picks Slaanesh, which opens up the hardest counter for Slaanesh, which is Tzeentch. But does the Menacing Platypus know something that we don't about this matchup? That really is the question. All right, so 61% of you think the Platypus is going to win, and 39% believe the Houseplant. Can you guys imagine an actual platypus battling a houseplant in real life? The platypus would for sure win. But again, it would certainly be an interesting one. Yeah, Brink. It's not Smurf, I guarantee you. He's a good friend of mine. He's doing really good, Brink. Yeah, big shout out. Big shout out. Impressive. I got to ask you, did he play Warhammer 2 a lot, or is he just getting into the game now? Because like really getting through a lot of really strong competition today. Very impressed. Wait, what? Novi says, wait, I'd like to change my vote when you see the matchup. So in my experience, Slaanesh really struggles against Tzeentch because Tzeentch just cheeses your lord. Like all the Slaanesh lords have like 15 armor, so the Tzeentch like blue fire spam is just so gross against it. But again, like Slaanesh's mobility is pretty insane. On a map like this, you can back cap, you can do a lot of stuff. So, not if the houseplant is a cactus. That's true. Time to get the followers of Tzeentch out of the library and into the dungeon. Yeah, we'll see. Domination mode, we'll see Gorse Descendant in the meta. Okay, Gorse could be good in some matchups for sure. There are some pretty venomous houseplants out there. That's true. That is true. So it'd be like a Pyrrhic victory for the platypus. Yeah, I suppose that'd be the case. The whole conversation that's going on now is just ridiculous. Platypus have venomous spines and they also lay eggs. They are a Tzeentchian creature. They're so cool too. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like my favorite animal of all time is a bear. Like I love bears. Like just huge grizzly bears, just like big fluffy beasts. They're so cool. I don't know what other animals are really neat. You know what animals are actually really terrifying is hippopotamus. Oh my god. I was watching a video of hippopotamus like going after like boats on rivers and stuff, and oh geez, they're terrifying, dude. Like even like alligators and like, you know, the apex predators of that part of the world are like afraid of them. Like they you don't not want to get into a river with a hippopotamus. These things are terrifying, dude. Yo, come to Alaska. We got the best bears. Is that true? Yeah. Yeah. But man, hippos are terrifying. Like what? Like I can't think of any like land-based animal. Well, maybe a bear. Yeah, like a bear probably could. Like a huge like bear could probably take on a hippo. But aside from that, like man, pretty terrifying stuff. Yeah, wolves are awesome too. Yeah, hippos hippos definitely lead to a lot of casualties. Turin is rooting for the bear versus DiCaprio and the Revenant. I don't know. Like, yeah, I remember that scene. Like, definitely a little bit, because I think he's, like, hunting it, sort of, so, yeah. Now, yeah, there could totally be a hippo. If there's some sort of an aquatic-based faction, they could add a hippo-type monster. For sure. We await the dreaded Undead Hippo Cav DLC for Tomb Kings. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually very fortunate for Slaanesh here as we load into this battle. Tzeentch did not go for a Lord sniping build, which is going to mean that the Herald plus the 2 cultists are going to be safe. If Tzeentch had gone for like an old school sniping build, this could have been really bad for Slaanesh. But I still love the Tzeentch build. It's basically capitalizing on the cultist, who has the Kindle Flame synergy to make all the blues and pinks do 20% more damage. And then some Chaos Knights is like a really big anchor for your army. For Slaanesh, it looks like it's going to be a Herald plus 2 cultists and then a combination of cheaper cavalry. Hippo Riders, yeah. Like, who would get Hippo Riders? What faction would have them? Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. All right. End will have them. Yeah, who knows? Well, probably like some sort of war elephant of some sort. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we took a look at the builds in the loading screen. It is going to be blues and pinks into the sunset. The taste of the rainbow. Now, the one thing you want to make sure you do against Tzeentch, if they have a build like this, is you do not fight them head on. If you try and bull charge this build, maybe with the double Demonette summon it's possible, but you're going to have a really, really bad time. Because the shooting is just so powerful. You slap those bad boys in guard mode, and you just live long and prosper. So this is the grand finals. Chaos Knights and the Cultist is going to be leading the army with Burning Head and Fireball. And now for the dreaded menacing platypus. Not just a platypus, the menacing one. It's going to be the Herald of Slaanesh of Shadows, coming in with the Pit of Shades, backed up by Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma. Good spells, for sure. In the backfield, we got Hellstriders with Hellscourges. These guys are a very good choice against the blues and pinks. They hit very hard against light armor, but they will get absolutely destroyed by the Chaos Knights. And double Cultists. Now, I'm curious what's going to come in next. Okay, it looks like it's going to be Marauders of Slaanesh. Simon Benjamin, thank you for the 30 pounds. I come on stream and Turin is ranting about hippopotamuses again. Get over it, Turin. You're safe from them in California. Thank you, man. They're terrifying. They're terrifying. Yeah, those mighty war beasts. Dude, their bites are just so scary. Oh my god, imagine having dwarves riding hippos. That would make dwarves the most OP faction in the game for sure. Alright, now back to the serious business. We are seeing some Chaos Furies of Slaanesh and a couple Marauders, which are good. They're shielded, so they can take the shooting a little bit more effectively. Tzeentch is very, very much just going to like park here with their shooting force and take control of this objective and then just like sit some blues on the back objective. Which I think Slaanesh should go for a back cap at first, because an army like this is so powerful centrally. What about Chariots? Chariots would be pretty terrible here because the Slaanesh Chariots have like 15 armor, so they just get Last Samurai. Like, as they charge in, they're going to get just pounded by these pinks and blues. This has actually been a build that we saw on yesterday's stream. We saw Random Nicks doing this, and it is so incredibly strong. I'm not, like, this is already one of the hardest matchups in the game for Slaanesh. If Houseplant's able to pull this off with some sort of, you know, Dark Prince witchcraft, I would be super, super impressed. Because I, like, literally have tried so many times to win this matchup and have just struggled on so many occasions. So many occasions. But we will see. We will see. So, resources being banked, it doesn't look like it. We have some Seekers of Slaanesh out. So, Seekers are going to trade pretty well into Chaos Knights if they get, like, a flanking charge. If they're able to get around the side and really hammer those Chaos Knights in their undefended flank, they could probably melt them incredibly quickly. For Slaanesh, we are seeing more shooting. Some more pink hordes are on their way out, so there is a ton of firepower here. Now, this build is actually very good with Kairos too, because Kairos can use Gaze of Fate on like the Slaanesh Lord or any target, and you can basically just Last Samurai them and just absolutely mow them down. Absolutely mow them down. Back objective is pretty safe. We got blues as well as some Forsaken down here. I really like this play from Houseplant. So it very much looks like the center is going to be the epicenter of battle. Like, there's probably going to be a big decisive fight here in the middle. And the winner, of course, will probably win the game, would be my guess. Because Slaanesh is very much like a big, angry, like, just balls deep fight. And then after that, it's just, okay, we won, we're going to steamroll you. We lost badly, it's over. It's like, they're very much like an all-in faction, which is kind of fun. I like that there's like a playstyle like that. So if you like to play that way and Fast and Furious, you absolutely can. Now the objectives are open. Back objective is being taken by the Marauders of Slaanesh. And Slaanesh is amassing a Dread Legion of infantry, which I like. I think that's a really good choice. Like, obviously the blues will be incredibly not cost-effective shooting into shielded Marauders. And I like how patient Slaanesh is being. Like, a lot of Slaanesh players get such a mighty hard-on to move in and just go all in on these type of armies. Look at this. I love it. They're both like, this is just like, he's leaving a couple units on the objective to contest it. Granted, I think that Slaanesh still has more capture weight because all of their infantry are on the point, but this is really funny. Like, neither player wants to commit to this fight. Pit of Shades will also be very good here. Man, this is like the calm before the storm. This is definitely the calm before the storm. Hellstriders and Hellscourges are coming up. Slaanesh is definitely preparing for the big strike, but you got to make sure you do it all at once. You don't want to use the Reaganomics and trickle in. You definitely don't. Surrounding this army is going to be very tough, but what's really cool about this is that the forces of Slaanesh can also pressure the back objective if they want to, and then what that's going to do is that's going to bait forces of Tzeentch down here, and then you just bounce back up to the top and get in on that fighting. Oh my god, I feel like this is going to go so rough. Fireball going down to the Herald. Herald should not be leading the charge. Oh, Herald! Herald, where are the cultists for the summons? This Herald is definitely in huge danger. If Houseplant sees this and drops all the firepower on that thing, it's going to die in a matter of seconds. That's actually going to be a really good Pit of Shades back there, though, potentially. Oh, okay. Forsaken do get caught. They move. The Herald of Slaanesh is riding through, but certainly getting focused pretty heavily. Value is going massively in the favor of the Houseplant because of the sniping on the Herald here, but it's going to get a little bit crazier. Slaanesh did do a little bit of a bait. Pit of Shades was able to lock down those Forsaken, did some good damage against the Blues, but not too much. And now the infantry are getting in. Fury's also piling in on all sides. Many of these Slaaneshi units chilling back here. I think they should have just like played the backside of the objective and forced the forces of Houseplant to move up. I think attacking into the entrenched position is a big mistake for sure. Like, Slaanesh could have gotten its whole army and come down here into this valley, but even still, the value is kind of normalizing a little bit. We do get some Demonettes of Slaanesh coming into the backfield, as well as some Marauders. And the Herald is somehow still alive. I have no idea how that Herald is still going. But more and more Slaaneshi forces are moving in as Screamers of Tzeentch have been summoned to attack the Hellscourges. Hellscourges, of course, out-trading the Blue Horrors relatively effectively. And there's going to be some sort of an army ability going down. Fascination, okay, so that does damage against the Forsaken and Rampages. I'm not going to do a whole lot. But value is actually dead even. This is a very, very close fight. I was expecting it to be much worse, but the fact that the Herald is still alive somehow, despite all this like shooting and sniping, is really, really actually quite incredible. Hellscourge is fighting in there, but Chaos Knight's clearing him up. Looks like some Hellstriders are moving back. Oh no, the Burning Head! See, with Burning Head, you have a little bit of time to dodge it, and it's not like a pendulum. If that was a pendulum, this entire army would be dead. It would just be like all broken and dead. But the Burning Head is strong, but certainly not overpowered. Now, Herald of Slaanesh there, doing some good work. It looks like the Tzeentch army ability is going to be coming down. A huge Pit of Shades in the back. Pit of Shades going down, tearing up Forsaken and Blues, as the Hellscourges and Marauders probably need to keep some of them back there. Slaanesh can also get reinforcements in much faster than the forces of Tzeentch, but it looks like Menacing Platypus is pulling ahead on value, but losing the Lord here could be very, very problematic. Chaos Knights of Tzeentch a little bit trapped up, being attacked by a lot of anti-large cavalry, so they are being worn down, even though the anti-large cavalry aren't armor-piercing. But now the Tzeentch shooting is back online. Oh no, the Herald of Slaanesh is being focused. It's a little bit trapped up, trying to juke. It's got about 1,000 HP. Losing the Herald would be really rough. At this point, I think that the Menacing Platypus needs to juke. Oh, juke, juke! It's too late. Oh, the shooting does get the Herald. I think the Herald hiding in the trees and just casting spells the rest of the game would have been very, very strong. But now the value is like very even, as that Herald does get sniped by all of the Tzeentch shooting. The Cultist is also broken, so the Cultist has also more or less fallen. In the backfield, we get some Seekers of Slaanesh going after the Blues, but they're going to have a bad time when the Forsaken get on top of them. So I do like the back cap threat. This objective is currently being held by Tzeentch as well. And it looks like Slaanesh is kind of petering out here a little bit. They're running out of steam. Losing the Lord there is a pretty big disaster. And now there's going to be a little bit more of a rout as another Burning Head comes down from the Cultist. And the two Cultists of Slaanesh try and fight there. Looks like all the summons have more or less been used, but the fight is now going in the favor of the Houseplant. Man, that was a really, really nice attempt, but a bit of a misplay trying to engage into that choke. Because what you could have done, if you were Slaanesh, is parked like all of your Marauders here, like 4 Marauders right here. You'll then get the objective, and then you could just sit there until Tzeentch moves up to shoot, and then you can get a better surround on them. Fighting into that entrenched position with very little flanking opportunities was a big, big mistake for sure. So here comes more Furies, jumping onto the Chaos Knights. Fascination active as well. That's going to be rampaging those bad boys. And here the Hellscourge shall be moving in, but there's going to be quite a shooting gallery. I wonder if there's going to be any back objective pressure. It's kind of hard because Tzeentch is up on points right now. Like maybe if Slaanesh could have captured that one early, but it's going to be very, very tough. Why did the Tzeentch Cultist get broken at full health? His health wasn't full. His shields were full, but his health was very low. He actually almost died in combat. Yeah, almost died in combat. But like I've seen this 1,000 times. If Slaanesh falls really behind on value, they typically can't win the game. I mean, it's very, very tough. They're really good at alpha striking and bullying in those situations, but you need to be a little bit more conservative with that initial engagement. Because just, like, that was a beautiful attempt by the Platypus. A really, really good attempt. Like, he almost got in there and broke the back of that army. And maybe if the Lord had lived, there could have been some sort of a comeback. It looks like some Hell Scourges are moving out now, but there's so many Tzeentchian forces here. So many. Yeah, Burning Head isn't like OP. It's like a fair ability. It's like fair. Like, Pendulum is just so disgusting. I'm so glad it's banned today. Seekers getting surrounded as well. Really nice engagement there by the Houseplant, swarming onto the Seekers of Slaanesh. Now remember, this is a best of 5 as well. So despite the game 1 most likely going to the forces of Tzeentch here, there's plenty of opportunities for both players to come back here in this series. Here, another Burning Head going down does tickle the pickle of those Marauders, and they do get the little debuff. Burning Head is pretty decent in this game because it does apply the fire penalty, which makes units heal. So like in certain matchups, like Burning Head could be very, very good actually. Especially against like vampire counts and things like that. Forsaken are going to absolutely dominate these Marauders. Marauders do not have armor piercing. Forsaken have 85 armor. So clearly that's going to be a one-sided affair. There's tons of shooting here coming in from the pink horrors, and I think that is going to be game blouses there. As the blue horrors get some nice shots, melt the Chaos Furies. Tzeentch obviously proving why they're a big powerhouse and are still, despite without Pendulum, one of the strongest factions. Fireball coming in, able to potentially break these Marauders. And it looks like Fascination might be going down. I think that's going to be the army ability of Slaanesh, which does Rampage and do a little bit of damage. It's very good, but at this point, that's GG. And I do appreciate the players, like, when they know it's over, leaving and not dragging us through, like, another 4 or 5 minutes. So thank you guys for that. Really appreciate that. Makes for a better experience for all of you. Now, yeah, this is a really classic Tzeentch army. I do think that this Slaanesh army was capable of winning, but I think the engagement angle was a little bit rough. They needed to use their mobility more instead of just head-on attacking into the Tzeentch force, which was super entrenched, like super entrenched. So, game 1 going to RTK and the Houseplant. Game 2 coming up soon. Now, the next map is going to be the Galleon's Cove. Let us see what schemes await as we go to the beloved Vampire Coast map. All right. Very cool here. Let's see what they do next. Good luck, have fun in next game. Map is Galleon's Cove. Can we have a list of maps in order? Yes, I will give you guys the rest of the maps. So Galleon's Coast, let's do this. I'm just giving them all the maps for the series, and then Eye in the North as well. Okay, so we have Khorne for the next pick, banning Ogres. So it's going to be a Khorne pick. Khorne for the corn dogs. It's coming, baby. Let me see. Was it Khorne pick from the platypus? Oh my God, we get a Khorne mirror match. Oh yeah, baby, let's go. It's going to be super fun. Yeah. It is super good. Go team indeed. The cactus revealed to be too prickly for the platypus. Sun Tzu, the Art of War. Yeah. I have thought about calling them tournaments for sure, but I think it's fine. Yeah, because the problem is people will search tournament on YouTube and find my tournaments, but they won't search tournament. You know. Modest, thank you for the donation. Hey Turin, sorry if this question has been asked before, but how would you rank the new lores compared to the existing ones? Okay, so let me break it down. First, we'll start with Nurgle. Okay, Modest, answer me this question. Do you want them ranked in order of strength, or do you just want like analysis of every single one? We have a Khorne mirror match, Blood for the Blood God. Yeah. So Modest, let me know your answer. I'll answer you based on like, do you want like a tier list of like what's the best, or do you want like me to just analyze them and tell you what's good and bad? Oh my God, the Slaanesh bots. Ah, I'm gonna go get some water in the meantime, so hang tight. I'll be right back. It's not blind pick right now, it's pick and ban. I'm walking away. Pick and ban. All right, I return. The old man is here. This is best of 5. It's a best of 5 showdown. All right, so I'm looking for your question, brother, to see what you wanted to see. Modest. In order of strength would be great. Okay. So keep in mind, just because like a lore of magic is stronger, it doesn't mean that faction is better than the other ones. Okay, so let's go through... Let me get a notepad out. Hold on. So I can answer your question. Notepad. This is like a very unprepared answer. Obviously, I haven't had time to really like think this through. So, okay, of all the chaos ones, I think the strongest lore of magic, Tzeentch is quite good. Tzeentch's magic though is blue and pink. Nurgle, Khorne doesn't have one. Slaanesh. I would probably say the strongest lore of magic is actually Nurgle because it has an amazing heal and its AoE ability has like a ton of AP value. So probably lore of Nurgle is really good actually, followed by lore of Tzeentch because it has amazing sniping. And then after that, I would say Slaanesh. And then Cathay's lores, I would probably put like... I would put the Cathay like lore of Yang like probably just above Slaanesh. So it'd be Nurgle, Tzeentch, Yang, Slaanesh, and then probably it would be Ice, Yin, and then Tempest would be how I would rate it. Because Tempest is just god awful in multiplayer. Ice is okay, but hopefully that answers your questions. Yeah, like I would need more time to like really write it down and like the pros and cons of each one, but that's like a quick flash answer for you, which I would go for. Nurgle's lore is really good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, game 2 of the grand finals. It's going to be RTK Houseplant with a triple halberd build backed up by Spawn and double cultist. There's actually no lord in this army, I don't think. Let's see, is there? Oh, there is. Okay, there's a Herald of Khorne who was left in the shadows back here. They forgot to deploy him, so he's going to be moving up with his army, which is really good. Like with the halberd spawn box like this, he can give a ton of stats, which is very, very cool. Now, looking across here at ye old menacing platypus. Ooh, I like this. Okay, it's going to be an exalted bloodletter build. I love the exalted bloodletters. It's going to be 2 of them plus some basic bloodletters. We do have a double cultist of Khorne on the ground, a herald of Khorne, and some corn dogs. So the builds have many similarities, but the difference being is that the houseplant is actually rocking halberds and spawn versus bloodletters, like backed up by, you know, obviously a little bit more of a powerful lord on a mount. What about ice fire metals? Yeah, those ones, like I'd have to think more. I was trying to give like the new lores from the new game, but yeah, like if you ask me that, I would really need to like think about it because Nurgle's heal does not resurrect, but the amount of healing it provides is just insane. One sec, guys. Sorry. Had to move something off my desk there. All right, we're back in business. So here we are, Fleshhounds of Khorne sitting on objective number 3. I really do love the fact that we can get different banners in game 3. That's such a nice touch, like a good compromise that, you know, we don't get army painter. It's obviously a little bit of a development priority on other things, but getting the ability to change the flags, I think, is very, very cool. I do have a tier list coming out soon of multiplayer factions, in my opinion, and then I do also have one for the Demon Lords. I just need to edit them. I've been a little bit of a potato lately, so trying my best. So yeah, they're just going to bump and grind on this middle objective. This is going to be an interesting trade. I do feel like the trade is, man, Spawn of Khorne hit so damn hard, especially backed up by a Herald on foot. But Exalted Bloodletters are just like absolute lawnmowers, like against the Chaos Warrior Halberd. So both sides actually have some really strong tools against one another. But this army just seems a little bit more powerful. Like there's more invested in it than this force. This force seems a little bit small. So I'm really not sure how it's going to go. Oh, but I do like this. Okay. Now there's some Spawn of Khorne coming in from the platypus, but you got to be careful. Those halberds could easily screen them out. And we're going to be getting summons of cultists. Okay, both sides dropping summons, which is pretty fun. So the first summon is out on top of the halberds, and the bloodletters are going to be engaging against the Spawn. And we just, you know, the Khorne is super stoked on this. This is like just blood for the blood god, just anarchy, like really hard to tell what's happening, just absolute carnage. But we will see who emerges. In terms of value, it's pretty even trading. Both players are using their summons here as the Spawn pile in from both sides. The Bloodletters are trading very, very cost effectively into the Halberds, as we did predict, but the Spawn will trade very well into the to the other demons. On the high ground objective, we do have a single doggo, so Menacing Platypus has one there. And okay, Menacing Platypus actually has 1,400 resources not committed to the center fight because he does have 2 units on the side objectives, which could help. But on that same note, he's down by about 1,400 value, so could those corn dogs be making a difference in this fight? Obviously, there's a lot of summon units, so it's a little bit hard to tell what's going on at this point, but the Bloodletters are, of course, getting through the forces of Houseplant here in the front, and we will have a better picture of things when the summons wear off. Uh-oh, okay. We have a duel here. We have all the cultists. Dude, this is like some 1990s Attitude Era wrestling shit right here. Just all these shirtless dudes just going at it here in the pits fighting. Yeah, some crazy stuff. But it looks like the Houseplant does get the better of that jewel. I think that was one of the big variables as to why the value was the way it was. And yeah, the Cultists of Khorne for the Platypus getting beaten up pretty bad. And the Herald of Khorne for Platypus also in a big losing fight because the Herald did get caught in the halberds of the Houseplant. So the Venus flytrap here is apparently the Houseplant. And I think that's the big reason. The fight was actually going relatively decently for the forces of the Platypus in the beginning, but the characters just got outplayed. Like, the two cultists here got smashed, and the Herald got trapped in halberds and spawn, and I think that's GG. A quick, bloody one. That's Khorne's all about that. You know, like, that's great. Khorne's like, all right, well, that was quick. I got my skulls, you know, not too messy. Just a big pit fight. And obviously, two objectives are being held now by the menacing Platypus, but being behind by 3,000 value is no joke. But is there going to be any chance for a hold? I mean, maybe if there's some misplays and like some halberds are sent down here, I think the halberd spawn build is pretty good for sure. I'd say the red guys are winning. Yeah, I think your assessment is very, very accurate. And now sending home the cultists and bringing them back later, certainly a strong play. But yeah, losing your lord in a halberd box and having your cultists get beat up by your friend's cultist, not going to be the best trade. I do think it's over for sure. I do think it's over. So the Fleshhounds of Khorne sitting on the high ground, cackling in the shadows, or baying. Is that what wolves like bay, right? Like that's like the term to describe that. I'm not actually sure. That was just like two angry Khornate armies. Dude, guys, so here's the thing. I've done quite a bit of testing with the spawn of Khorne, like with other spawn as well, and the spawn of Khorne are hands down the best one. They are so good in certain matchups. Like against light armor, they're basically lawnmowers. So bloodletters who have like almost no armor are going to get massacred. That's why I think the build for Houseplant was a little bit better. It like had a stable answer for most of the threats it was facing. Now over here, the two objectives are being held. So here the spawn of Khorne did rampage in, and the Khorne dogs should be able to kind of nibble them down. And this is where maybe there's some weird opportunity, but I just simply don't think so. Because like this Khorne army is going to go get objective 1, and even if the red Khorne player, the Platypus, can hold this bottom objective, the value is almost doubled right now. That's going to be really, really tough. We got Furies coming in from both sides, and it looks like more Bloodletters coming in from the Houseplant. Should be able to get some good capture weight here in conjunction with the Halberds that are fighting. Halberds are like great against all these units. Like Furies don't have AP for their armor, and the Khorne dogs are large. Therefore, the Halberds will be able to kind of grind those guys down. Yeah, really, really nice builds for sure. And that's certainly one of the big strengths of being in like one of these major clans in Total War, right? Like RTK, ODM, VM, all these different clans. And the dreaded XMT. There's so many. I could keep going on. But like these players have really good practice like kind of sessions where they really work with like 5, 6, 7, 8 like really top players, and they sit there and kind of work on these builds together, which makes them very, very formidable because they have these excellent think tanks. Whereas a lot of people who aren't in such groups or don't have good practice partners like that might only get their experience on ladder, where they're not necessarily going to be getting like the most competitive experience. So yeah, 4,000 gold gap looking like it's going to be game blouses up on the high ground. This objective being taken by Houseplant. I think it's only a matter of time before the triple cap comes in and the forces of the Platypus are kind of forced back into the Shadow Realm here. A hound would bay, a wolf would howl. Okay, so it's like for hounds. So the baying of the Khorne hounds. It's kind of a cool thing. How good are Blood Crushers? Blood Crushers are quite good. They're good against Kislev, and they're good against Kislev if you can shut down the Bear Chariots, and they're very good against Cathay, in my experience. But, you know, it depends on your playstyle and depends on the build you want to play with. That's the cool thing about Domination. There's a lot of like different builds you can kind of mess with, and you also have a little bit of flexibility here. So more and more Khorne dogs moving in, trying to hold this objective, but it's not going to be enough, and that will be GG. So that's game 2. Very quick 2 games, but I have faith in the Platypus that they can come back. Obviously, the Halberd spawn build was much more effective than the Exalted Bloodletter build. You could see some Bloodletters did get okay value, but these spawn were just like Terminators, and the Halberds were able to pick the characters. But honestly, a lot of that fight did come down to the characters too. Like the Herald getting trapped on his mount in Halberds, and the 2 cultists getting beaten up by the 2 cultists of Houseplant. So maybe the build would have traded better with the characters being alive. All right, so now we go to game 3. And the map for the next one is going to be Where Art Thou maps is the Sea of Claws. The crossing of the Sea of Claws. All right, where is it? Here we are. So let's see what's picked next. As they alternate, they cannot repeat factions, nor can they ban the same factions from before. So I'm curious to see. Dude, why have we not seen ogres also? Where are the ogre kingdoms? Yeah, this is weird. Prussian Prince, hey man, how you doing? Hope you're doing great. Dude, I am so happy. My spirits have just been raised today. Like being able to host tournaments is like my favorite thing in this game. Like now that we can do it again, I feel like a new man. Although I want to play in some. Unfortunately, I can't do it when I'm hosting them, but somebody needs to host some tournaments I can play in. All right, let's see what they do next. Come on. I want to hear the Call of the Maw or Nurgle. Ogres are still, I think, S tier. Like ogres are so good. I'm surprised we're not seeing them. Maybe the players aren't like used to using them. Yeah, it's definitely different seeing no legendary lords are still very good. In that matchup, Scarbrand's actually pretty strong. He can like rampage and snipe. You could go for like a mobile Khorne build and just like try and outmaneuver the halberd box. Like I saw somebody do a spawn halberd box build, and then the other Khorne player brought 2 skull cannons and actually won because they were just like kiting them around the map and shooting the halberds down. It was really cool. Ban Cathay, pick ogres. Look at that, a Cathay ban. Ooh, I love it. And ogres. Okay, so now the Houseplant's got some options. We could see Kislev. We could see, I can't remember who played Tzeentch. I think it was Houseplant. Yeah. So no Tzeentch. And no Khorne. And no Cathay. Everyone else is on the table. Yeah, so there's 4 other factions here. All right, hold on a second. And let's see what's going on. What is the pick gonna be? Cannot pick Khorne again, no repeat factions. The ogres are here. Oh no, I mean, I'm telling you, ogres are, you know, with the pendulum ban, ogres might be the strongest faction. That's why I'm surprised we haven't seen them in the grand finals up until now. Or in the top 4, I should say. Ungrim bullied me hard with Slayers in my ogre campaign. Yeah, I bet he did. Ogres do struggle with Cathay cannons. They do, but not on this map. This map is a very like weird line of sight map, so I don't know if Cathay would be a good pick here anyways. All I hear is the call of the maw. Hey, Red Infernal, thanks for becoming a member. I could have sworn you were already a member, though. Oh, Slaanesh, baby. The Dark Prince. I'm hyped for this one. Yeah, Slaanesh is actually decent against ogres, because you have, like, the cheap spearmen, which are really good, and then you have, like, a ton of anti-large cavalry, so... Yeah, Ogre Kingdoms have some cool schemes, too. All right, we got ogres versus Slaanesh. Let's do it. Let's see what schemes the Houseplant has, or will the Platypus strike back with the vengeance? Saw your video today, Turin, and now scared of Cathay. No, only in that matchup. Yeah, Cathay is still at a disadvantage against ogres for sure, but that does help. Yeah, this is going to be super fun. Man. I don't have the game. Why does no one use Greasus? He's a little bit slow. But you know the one matchup Greasus is really good in? It's Slaanesh. Because he's really hard to snipe. And he just sits on the middle objective, and Slaanesh really doesn't like to fight him because he's anti-large and super tanky, so. Yeah, and he's really slow. How do you deal with ogres with Kislev? So, it depends. Sometimes I'll use double Little Grom, which is really fun, but honestly, like, basic Kossars with, like, Kossar Spears is really good. Winged Lancers are great against the unarmored ogres, like, Bear Cavalry can be good against the armored ones. Kislev is, like, a really strong faction. They have plenty of answers. Yeah. Okay, We have a fun strategy in chat. Cathay Yin plus a stock Skyjunk is... Nobody expects the cloaked junk. I know. Doesn't it reveal itself as soon as it shoots, though? Unless you gave it, like, snipe. So it could shoot while hidden. Oh my god, that'd be the funniest shit ever. The Cathay junk actually has some teeth in a couple of matchups. It's not like a complete meme across the board. Yeah. Yeah, and Scrag is a caster too, so then you don't have to pay for a caster on top of that. And he's pretty good in combat, and he also buffs Gorgers. Like, Scrag gives your Gorgers healing, which is super OP. Gorgers are limited to 2, though. Yeah. You only bring 2 Gorgers and 1 Iron Blaster. So there are a couple, like house rules here. Hold on, I'm just going to check this real quick to make sure. Yep, looks fine. Okay. Looks fine to me. What do you think Cathay needs in a DLC? They need, like, Cathay needs a strong infantry unit that has armor piercing. Like, if you gave Cathay, like, a great weapon or, like, some sort of an infantry berserker type unit that could actually, like, cut through enemy armor and, like, was armored itself, like, they'd be really good. Because Cathay just gets stuffed by armored infantry and, like, good infantry. But if they had, like, a solid thing that could kill Forsaken, for example, like, they would be in good shape. Like, an armor piercing unit. Yeah. Samurai, you think it gives snipe, the spell? Ooh, that's pretty sweet, actually. Oh, it has snipe? Oh, it does give snipe? The dreaded sniping sky junk, is that going to be the way? Yeah, Cathay junks are okay against Khorne. The problem is it's hard to protect them because if they go with a flying greater demon, your longbows can't kill it. And then there's Furies too. I have not tried out Elden Ring. I never was like a big Dark Souls person, so it didn't really call to me. My wife is playing it though, so I'm going to live vicariously through her. I'll just like sit behind her when she's playing and just like watch if I'm curious. I'm an RTS guy. I'm like an RTS boomer. I like old real-time strategy games. Yeah, that's my jam. Yeah, if Cathay had some good like hard-hitting infantry, I think that would be a big change for them. They're supposed to be defensive aesthetically though, so I understand, but I don't know. Yeah, oh my god, if Cathay could yeah, do that with their junks, that'd be pretty rad. Also, junks would be better if they could actually land. Like, you should be able to deflate the balloon and like sit on the ground. I don't know why junks can't land, because then you could actually protect them and have like a shooting platform on the ground, which would be nice. Like, not being able to land junks really sucks. Because then if you bring them and your opponent has a superior air force, you're just kind of in the trash can, you know? You're just like, oh, I'm too weak. Do you think Nurgle should have poison hounds? Yeah. Why does Nurgle not have Chaos Warhounds with poison? What the hell is this? Yeah, give him those. So ogres are allowed to bring 1 Iron Blaster, that's it. They can't bring 2. You have a limitation on that. Oh, Platypus is here with the Ogre Kingdoms and Grease's Chungus Tooth. I'm so hyped for this. Dude, look at the big man. He's actually very, very decent against Slaanesh. On top of that, we got some Noblars and Iron Guts. Ooh, Iron Guts, the big armor boys. Yeah, look at these big boys. They're so cool. And then there's going to be a Stonehorn as well. So it's basically like an Ogre armor blob. It's like a ton of meaty, durable Ogre units, which I love. Now, looking at these Slaaneshi forces, we have Inkari. Ooh, Inkari's so fun. Hellstriders with their anti-large, but they'll struggle against Iron Guts because of their lack of armor piercing. Inkari's here. He's ready to party. And we do also have a double cultist, so it's going to be 2 cultists of Slaanesh summoning Demonettes. On top of the Iron Guts will be quite good. And some Marauders of Slaanesh on the far side. Man, this Slaanesh banner looks like an Ogre banner. Like from a distance, it definitely doesn't look like a Slaanesh banner. The big Chungus is here. Yeah, he's rolling. He's very slow. 35 speed is rough. Like other Ogres are like really quick, so the problem is in battles he often gets left behind, but my concern for the Chungus Kingdoms is how they're going to hold the side objectives. Probably what I would do is maybe just have like a big Death Star here, and then I would summon 2 Gorgers from my army and sit them on this objective with some Noblars and say, have fun getting rid of some Gorgers. Even without healing, they're like disgustingly hard to remove. Lore-wise, you can't deflate a Sky Junk. They are powered by a bird inside, not air. Oh, really? Are you serious? Really? Well, maybe the bird can chill out a little bit and let the junk kind of like land, and then it can like flap its wings again when it wants to take off. I don't know. I'm really excited to see Inkari in action. He's super cool. And is the Wit Stealer Sword at play? Let's see what abilities were brought on Inkari. 100 speed is so rad. So Willing Prey plus the Slicing Shards, which is like a bombardment ability. Interesting. I don't really know how this will do against Ogres. Maybe it's for killing Noblars. And many of the abilities have been cut as well. Yeah, like all the expensive abilities on Inkari have been cut. So it's just like a straight up like bare bones, like duelist Inkari. Which could deal with the Stonehorn. I do like the Wit Stealer Sword though. I feel like getting 1,000 weapon strength for a short period of time is good. Lots of AP damage versus Slaanesh. To answer your question, he didn't bring armor piercing because of the armor piercing. He brought the armor piercing because it also comes with high armor, which will make them durable against Slaanesh's anti-large cavalry, which lack armor piercing. Because Slaanesh has these really cheap Hellstriders. If we go over here, you can see them. And these guys are excellent against all the Ogres, but not against armor. So if you bring in the big armored Ogres, it's going to be great. You don't need armor piercing against Slaanesh, but yeah. Now, how are the Ogres going to play the sides, though? Platypus is saving up a lot of money, which I think is going to be a double Gorger summon. It's got to be something like that, because Slaanesh can play the flanks so well. And if the Ogres have like a Death Star here in the middle, you know, Slaanesh doesn't want any piece of this. This is like scary, but again, they could just use their mobility and play the sides. Okay, it's going to be double Iron Gut. Yeah, double Iron Gut going down there. You're still going to want some support for them, like some Noblars or something. Because like if they get surrounded and like even against spears, it's not going to be like a good trade for the Iron Guts. And Inkari is probably going to get on his motorcycle and start riding down here, just like sprinting across. Yeah, you still want some chaff. Maybe some, oh, Noblar Trappers would be actually really good. Okay, Saber Tusks are decent support. Definitely can nibble at the Slaanesh units. Iron Guts are really cool. Ogres have a lot of armor piercing, but their basic bulls do not. And nor did their Saber Tusks and Noblar. So they have some on the roster, some don't. But the Iron Guts are heading down to the objective, and they have some decent support. But again, Noblars would be really good here because they would buffer against the Marauders, and allow you to fight on top of the Nobblers to make sure your guys don't get poked by spears. But I do like that the Ogres are going for that objective there, but Inkari and the Cultists are going to move that way. And if the Ogres don't respond and like bring reinforcements over here, they're just going to get outmaneuvered and punished. And look at Haggard Greasus, he's like, I'm a-coming. I'm going to come help, don't you worry. Yeah, got to be careful. Slaanesh is all about this life. They love playing the mobile objectives here. And Houseplant clearly is very practiced at this. I'm worried about these Iron Guts. We do have the big Stonehorn moving down there, as well as more Saber Tusks. So maybe they're going to be able to... Oh, the Hellstriders might get ambushed here. A little bit of a lapse of micro here on Houseplant. Nope. Okay, they catch it at the last second, gets the charge off. Saber Tusks will probably lose that trade, but there is another one coming. And look, we have the Stonehorn fighting against Inkari. Yeah, it's quite a duel of fates. Iron Gut's going to be charging in to fight the Slaanesh cavalry, but they're surrounded. The devastating flanker is going to be coming in as Seekers get the rear charge as well. Oh, that's not going to be good. Seekers doubling their charge bonus with the flank. Beautiful, beautiful Slaaneshi play. And look at these Iron Guts getting shreked by the Seekers of Slaanesh. They have crazy armor piercing, and with devastating flanker, it is just straight bread being buttered. Now down here, Ogre is pulling in more and more Saber Tusk packs to fight the Hellstriders, and looks like one of the Hellstriders here might be in some danger. The Iron Guts are holding on like champs, and Greasus is making his way over. Will they be able to hold? Okay, they do get a nice devastating charge onto the back of one of the Seekers, and the trading is actually very, very even. Very, very even. Yeah, look at that. As a matter of fact, Ogres actually get a little bit of a counterpunch there, as they do a fair amount of damage against Inkari, and also do sandwich the Seekers. So it's like layers and layers, and slicing shards. I actually haven't seen this ability used. I don't know how good it is against like a monstrous infantry unit, but we're about to find out for sure. Maybe it's just to trigger the lore passive. Oh no! Oh no! Houseplant is trapped! Inkari is trapped! Looks like he can't get out. The Ogres have him a little bit surrounded there. And suddenly, the Seekers kind of overstayed their welcome, and the Ogres are able to just take him to Poundland. Or Pound Stretcher in the UK, whatever you guys call it. Oh my god! What a turn of events! The Chungus Kingdoms get the counter surround, because Slaanesh definitely overstayed their welcome. And now Slaanesh is going to be fighting on the back foot. Inkari is super trapped. Oh my god, Inkari's getting the Ogre sandwich. The big Chungus is here. Oh, getting knocked off his cart here, but doesn't want to let Inkari get away. Looks like he's going after the Cultists, and the Iron Guts pour in. So much mass. Slaanesh is not known for its mass and is getting sandwiched super hard. The Ogres definitely have some layers here. Now, Slaanesh playing the objectives pretty well still. They have 2 objectives to the 1 of the Ogres, but the big problem being is that like losing your 2,000 plus Lord here is going to be really hard. And it looks like there's going to be a Demonette summon coming in, which is going to help against the Ogres, but Slaanesh definitely overstayed their welcome. They should have just hit those Iron Guts and then run away, and also not committed Inkari to this fight, I guess, but it's hard to say that you're going to get trapped. Like, it's really easy for me to criticize that, but look at Inkari going Super Saiyan, though, beating up this Stonehorn and trying to push the way out here, yeah. Crazy stuff. All right, Cultists of Slaanesh still fighting. Greasus Goldtooth moving on his toilet seat, beating down the Cultists as well. Ogre is happily chilling in the middle. In the back, Slaanesh is getting some decent value, but Gorgers have been brought to the battlefield, so Gorgers are very strong. They are limited to 2 in this particular fight. Plus, Hellscourges don't have anti-large. They're not going to be doing a whole lot there. Inkari, I'm too weak. I know, Inkari's trying, but I'm really impressed with Inkari's performance. It's been so much damage on the Stonehorn here. The Stonehorn has been getting absolutely pounded there by Inkari, but looks like he's going to have to flee. Another charge here. Marauders of Slaanesh do have some spears, and guys, I am really impressed that Houseplant is able to keep the value this close. But Inkari does not have the Reaper of Souls ability, which makes him heal when a unit is wiped out, which would be pretty nice here. Needs to just turn and fight. Okay, if they can get a counterpunch on the Stonehorn, that's going to be quite nice. 1,800 HP on Inkari. We'll see if he can return the favor. Oh, did he just whip out some huge sword? Okay, it's some sort of a spell is being cast. Okay, let's watch this. This is actually quite pertinent here. Slicing Shard's going down. Inkari does beat up the Stonehorn, and now charging back in. Slicing Shards does a little bit of damage against the Ogres, and Slaanesh coming in with another surround. So look at this. The Ogres may have volleyed into another ambush here. And Sweet Sorrow is active. Inkari gets away. Slaanesh has spears, trapping the Ogres in, and suddenly the value is really starting to equalize as Slaanesh is getting these decent engagements all over the battlefield, but the Ogres are coming in with Gorgers and Saber Tusks now as well, which are going to be charging into spears, mind you. Not the best engagement in the world, but the Ogre position here buckles and folds like a piece of paper, while Inkari escapes into the shadows. Yeah, Inkari chasing down the Stonehorn. Very nice. Very, very cost-effective. If Inkari had the Reaper of Souls, that would be like an 800 health heal, but unfortunately Inkari does not. Now, the Ogres have summoned in some Warnfang Cavalry, so some big hard hitters coming in. Hellstriders of Slaanesh are on the run. And how are the Slaaneshi spears doing here? They're holding okay. They're wavering though. They're surrounded by quite a bit. And the Slaanesh units are going to be pulling back now. Value is about 1,500. So it was about 2,000. It's still kind of sitting in that category. In terms of the objectives, the Chungus kingdoms are currently holding 2. Slaanesh is holding 1 objective up in the high ground, but Slaanesh can certainly take advantage of its mobility. The Ogres are very slow comparatively, right? They're sitting down here on this objective. Slaanesh could easily do a big push here in the middle and maybe cause some problems. So Hellstriders with anti-large have engaged. And are these Seekers? Those are Hell Scourges, Hellstriders, and Spears. And Inkari is where? He's so fast. I can't keep track of him. Did he actually die? I don't think so. I think Inkari's alive somewhere. We'll keep tabs. Yeah, so here's Grease's Chungus Tooth. And Inkari is looping around somewhere. I don't know. Maybe Inkari did die to some of the cavalry and I just missed it? Did you guys see that? Well, anyways, Slaanesh does come in, and using their mobility, they're able to absolutely hammer the Ogre mobility here. So the Ogres get actually trapped by Seekers who have crazy armor piercing. Iron Gut's holding pretty well though. And now more and more of the Slaaneshi infantry are going to be moving on to the objective. And the Ogres are having to kind of migrate over. Inkari despawned. Was that what it was? You actually saw it? Okay, so maybe despawning to try and get a little bit of a refund, but with Inkari being that low, that's not the case. Maybe Houseplant is going to be knowing that they're ahead, saving for Inkari, and if they can jack objective number 2 here, that is a huge win. And honestly, the Ogres are kind of getting hammered by all this cavalry because, you know, Big Chungus can only be in so many places, right? Like, he's moving, and now, like, there's nothing guarding this back objective. If Slaanesh were to summon some really fast cavalry down and go after those Gorgers, that's like a free objective there. So certainly a lot of tactical options for sure. Yeah, Inkari must have been desummoned, which is obviously something that's quite often done. But look at that. Slaanesh actually wrestles that objective from the Ogres and blocks them off using spears, making sure the Noblars can't get back on the point while the Iron Guts and other big boys move back and forth and try and jump on this. Man, this is a clinical game. This is just so good. And look at the damage value. It's within like just about 1,000 now. It's really been equalized as the Slaaneshi cavalry with the Sweet Sorrow, which is their ultimate army ability, giving them vigor, which makes them, you know, fresh and feel very good, and obviously makes them faster. 125 speed is no joke. That is a huge buff. So, Seekers of Slaanesh are on their way over, going to be hammering into the Ogre position. I would love to see Slaanesh go for the back objective now and just keep taking advantage of the fact that the Ogres can't be everywhere at once with the style of play that they're using. That's what happens with kind of Greasus and these slower blobs with Gorgers and Iron Guts. It's very tricky. So obviously one of the big benefits of sending Inkari back instead of fighting on the battlefield is when your Lord dies, you take a leadership penalty on your whole army. So sending back Inkari does save that. Granted, Inkari did have about 1,800 HP, so there is potentially some play that Inkari still could have had in the battle, but, you know, it looks like Houseplant weighed the risk and the reward and just kind of planned it accordingly. So Slaanesh is getting to the point where they might just actually win on the objectives. The Ogres might be able to wrestle control again. They are pushing back some of the Slaaneshi forces with their armor, but the Slaanesh spears on the objectives are being really good. The basic Marauders just MVPs. And now there's some Slaanesh spears for Houseplant going towards objective number 3 as well, which those spears will dominate these very beat up Gorgers, like no problem. And Greasus Chungus Tooth is trying to get on there, but Slaanesh is just, you know, sticky here really, just all over the forces of the big man. And there's tons of anti-large cavalry, and Greasus is very heavily surrounded. And now, oh man, look at that. Slaanesh pulls ahead on the value, crushing the Ogre position. And here we have the Hellstriders moving across. Going to be piling in to do some battle with the Iron Guts most likely. But I have to say, this is probably one of the best games I've seen. This is such a good game. No, this is live right now, Tom. This is live, dude. You're here. It's live, baby. This is one of the better games I've casted in Warhammer 3. And with that, Slaanesh comes back and the Ogres surrender. My goodness, what a clinical showcase of Slaanesh there. Some rough engagements in the beginning, but the tenacity, the mobility, really showing that even though Slaanesh is a glass cannon, they can still get back in games with their mobility and isolating prey and looking for the weak points. GG, that was such a cool game. Inkari got some nice value for sure. What are the big performers though? Yeah, the Seekers, oh my god, 2,500, 1,800 on those guys. And the Marauder Spears were just the true champs. Greasus is very slow, and we saw that reflected there. And losing the Iron Horn, or not the Iron Horn, the Stone Horn was also quite problematic as well. So a beautiful match there by the Houseplant, winning 3-0 in the grand final. So Houseplant will be winning the $100 cash prize. And our runner-up, the Menacing Platypus, with an incredible tournament run today. It's a name that I don't know if I've seen in tournaments before. I believe it's somebody who's just getting into competitive multiplayer, got to the grand finals, clearly has a very bright future. Looking forward to seeing the Menacing Platypus. I would imagine they have some sort of a Total War background because the micro was good, the control was good. But man, oh man, looking forward to seeing both these players. That was really fun. So, heading on over to the grand finals, the bracket. We will do the classic Turin Haggard Bracket Award. Look at the movement. Yes, Wookiee praises the finalist with his paw. Houseplant doing RTK proud and getting here to the grand finals. That was a really, really good series. Really incredible series. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. If you did enjoy the stream, enjoyed the tournament, please do drop a like. It helps us get more people in the multiplayer community. Let's pump those up to 700 if we can before you go. And that is it. Houseplant has claimed victory, winning the cash prize for today. And we'll be back soon. We're going to be having one domination tournament every week, one land battle tournament every week as well. I'm going to be trying to do 2 in conjunction with other streams like King of the Hills, practice formats, casual events, all that sort of good stuff. But the bare minimum you guys can expect, I'm going to try my best. Obviously, life happens, but is one domination and one land battle tournament per week. So you guys can do it. Maybe the play there would be to desummon Greasus, summon him in to save some time to objectives. Yeah, you could desummon him when he's super healthy and get like some points back to summon some other stuff. Maybe. Okay, Brink in chat saying, the Platypus decided to try competitive quite literally last night. Well, if Platypus keeps practicing, like Houseplant is a Warhammer veteran, I would be really, really impressed to see. I mean, the grand finals of this tournament is really solid. And I was looking at the challenge brackets today, and the Wild Platypus actually did very good against some seasoned veterans. So very excited to see the future of the intimidating Platypus. Cincinnati for the Legend of Wookiee. Thank you for the 10. Really appreciate it. All right. That's it for now. Thank you guys all for joining. That was an absolute blast. And we'll be back soon. I'm going to go hang out with the smoking hot wife as always. And yeah, congratulations to Houseplant. Doing the clan proud. RTK is certainly celebrating tonight. Is the website under maintenance? Yes, it is. The website will be updated by next week. We had to redo a lot of stuff because the server and the backend that we set it up on wasn't great. So we're redoing it, but I'll announce the website when it's good to go and it's been like tested a little bit more and all that. So RLTV, Creative Assembly needs to do an official tournament and get Turin and some peeps to cast it. They do that all the time. I've casted, I don't know, 7 or 8 Everchosens for them, and also the Chaos Clash and a number of other events. So you can check that out. If you search the Everchosen, Total War Warhammer Everchosen, you can see the official tournaments. They're really fun stuff. I would definitely check it out. Turin made their official tournament. That's true. We did create the Everchosen and pitch it to them. So, all right, take care of yourselves. We'll see you next time. Adios. Congratulations to Houseplant, Platypus, Hannidins, and A Move Hacker. And hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing the Dark Prince in action. Cheers, my friends.